Happy New Year, Buckeye Nation, Buckeye Scoop family. We are now officially in 2026. Fortunately, we did not get the ring in the new year with a victory for our Buckeyes. I got a lot to say about this game after rewatching it. Got a lot of notes. We will dive into that. Before we do anything, please hit that like button. If you have not already hit the like button, hit that like button and also subscribe. We're zooming towards our 40K goal, our 40,000 subscribers goal. Please subscribe if you have not already done that. Also, we have expanded our relationship with Spreaker.com. Spreaker, I was already hip to them. I'm not an Apple guy, and God bless you if you are. Do your thing. But I was always hip to Spreaker. So it's cool to see that we're not only having a relationship with Apple, but also with Spreaker.com. So if you have not already done that, please go there, download the show, save us on the Spreaker. If you have not already downloaded the Spreaker app, download that. We would greatly appreciate it. We're also going to be talking about some massive transfer portal breaking news. A lot of activity already on both ends, what Ohio State is looking to bring in and who's leaving for Ohio State. Also, with those wonderful super chats that you guys always send, helps to go towards the Pay It Forward, which is our military and our first responders. We're going to look out for them because they always look out for us. Nevada Buck, man, this is our first time really talking since the game. Welcome back home, where you reside. We'll definitely get into that. But how are you feeling right now, sir?
I'm tired. I'm tired. It was a long, cold walk back
Yeah.
to the Uber and then to the thing and then getting home today. So been trying to stay on top of stuff on the message board, respond to people, and just kind of process what we saw
Yeah.
yesterday. So it's funny. I've got really mixed feelings. I'm disappointed because I really think a lot of this team and I think a lot of these players are going to go on to be NFL standouts. But any year that we beat Michigan, make the playoff, and it's okay. I guess it's okay. It's not, I'm not like devastated, like, hey, we need to blow the whole thing up. But I'm just disappointed. I'm
Yeah.
sad that the college football season kind of ended for me because, to be honest with you, I have no desire to watch any more college football. I know some people are really tuned into the Rose Bowl and other games, and I'm just like, college football stopped for me last night. Now I'm on to 2026. I'm on to the transfer portal. I'm on to who's Ohio State going to get to add to this team, who are the coaches going to be, what's going to go on. But just sad, had our chances last night, didn't take advantage of it. Kudos to Miami. They played well. They looked fresher, sharper, less rusty than we did. And I thought that the pick six really was the story of the game. You throw a pick six, you miss a field goal, they make a 50-yard field goal. Generally, you're going to lose games like that, and we did. So credit to Miami, on the win, and just sad for the Buckeyes for the loss.
Yeah, man. It definitely hits different when you're in stadium. I was in stadium for that loss against Michigan in 2024. And it's just, yeah, it sucks. Again, I'm trying to, I'm actually like, I'm praying like, Lord, help me to clear my mind so I can, because it's just so much I want to say and I need to say. I went back and rewatched the game, and I took a lot of notes, and just saw things with fresh, sober eyes as far as not being in the midst of the emotion of the real time game. And we'll get to that. I'll pace myself, but I will say that pick six murdered us. That pick six, as bad as we played in that first half, that pick six was the official thing that took us behind the eight ball to dig out of that hole. It kind of made it insurmountable with all of our issues, but we'll get more on that as well. But I feel you, bro. I feel for you and Dev. Because listen, we know, and look, kudos. Let me say this way as well. Kudos to Miami. Congrats to their fan base. You guys won. You did a good job. You played hard. You had a good game plan. You took advantage of our mistakes, and you wanted it. We broke you for 23 years, and you took that to heart. And I feel like that energy was, you came out and really willed your way to a win. So congrats to y'all. So now you guys, you just can't stop here. You got to win. You got to keep winning and sustain this. But congrats to you for this victory. Respect, y'all won it. And again, I'll pace myself. I'll stop there, Nevada, and pass the mic because I got so much to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, Miami. To me, Miami was pretty much. I thought Fletcher was a little better than I thought he was going to be. I
Mhm.
thought he did some nice things. Beck was exactly who I thought he'd be, except for his running. Beck's running killed us. Beck's
Oh my,
running
yes,
absolutely killed us, and I don't know how many times I have to say that the running quarterback is overpowered at all levels of football, but at the college level it's almost determinative. And I've gone back and I looked at Ryan Day's history with quarterbacks, and you know um, you look at his list of quarterbacks here at Ohio State. It's like Justin Fields. Okay, Justin Fields ran a bit at Ohio State, ran a bit
yeah,
in the NFL. He's the most prolific running quarterback like in the history of the NFL. Like he runs more than any quarterbacks ever run in the NFL. Like I mean, his game is running. Like he gets the ball and he expects to run. So he is a running quarterback. At Ohio State, ran sparingly. Um, C.J. Stroud, he'll run in the NFL. Did not run at all at Ohio State. Kyle McCord did not run at Ohio State. Then he gets Will Howard, transfer guy, 6-year guy, big stud, established guy there at Kansas State, established as a runner. And what are that they let him to run, they let him do his thing. He's running, kind of does, yeah, makes a difference for us. And then Julian Sain comes in, and it's back to the old thing. So the common denominator in this is Ryan really does not encourage the quarterbacks to run. He doesn't like the quarterbacks running. It's not part of his DNA as a play caller, as a quarterback whisperer, as an advisor on these quarterbacks. And I just really think that kills us. You know what I'm saying? Because the biggest play of the game was that 3rd and 11. We stopped them. They have the ball. We get a
man,
chance. If we get the ball back, I don't think any of us are down. We're going to come out and score and win that game. And he breaks contain, runs for 12 yards and gets the first down and moves the chain. And we just, he only rushed for 38 yards, but they were all just so big every
yeah,
time he went with it. And, if I personally did not have a problem with Ryan Day's play calling. I know that's
me
not a
either.
popular take. I think a lot of people want to be on it. I was okay with it. I had, could you change things in hindsight? Of course, you can always do that. I love it when people pick stuff off and they'll say, "Oh, on this play, Carnell Tate was open, and Julian should have seen him or what."
Yeah,
That stuff happens in a game. You know what I'm saying? You're going through your
yeah,
progressions. If you've come off him and you go down, or on that one, he would have had to flip his hips and kind of pull. I mean, it would have been a really, he was rolling to the left. He would have had to roll out, flip his body, then flip. I mean, maybe he could have made that throw, but that stuff doesn't really bother me as much. But I just think that stuff happens. But the structural thing of not running the quarterback and being unwilling to run the quarterback and encouraging the quarterbacks not to run, I just think is it's a devastating mistake, because the stuff about guys missing guys on pass, that happens every play. Every single game you can find a receiver running open if you want to do that thing, and that's not unique to Julian Sain. It's gone for internet clicks, and I just think it's lazy, because that's not the reason we lost the game. We threw a pick six on a play that, frankly, my reaction in real time was, oh my God, JJ made a bad play on that. Like JJ Smith did not block that guy. But if you look at the play structurally, JJ was left with some really bad options on that. Um, and it just, the guy made a hell of a play. The guy made a hell of a play, was clearly
mm,
ready on film study. That
yeah,
play almost happened today in the Rose Bowl. The exact same play. Mendoza throws it, and the Alabama guy misses it by like 1 inch. He's like 1 inch away from picking it, going in for the end zone. But it made it through, and they went on to cruise to victory. So sometimes the other guy just makes the play, and somebody just got to tip your hat. But I didn't have a problem with Day, but I do have a problem with Day in terms of not activating the quarterback run, because I really believe that is doing offense the most difficult way possible. And this is not an aberration. This is a trend with Ryan. Like 7 of the last 8 years, this has been a problem. The only one year it wasn't was when you had Will Howard, the transfer court. And I want to point out some other item. The 3 remaining teams right now that are so far that are in the playoff right now: Oregon, transfer quarterback; Indiana, transfer quarterback; um, Miami, transfer quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
the days of recruiting a quarterback and developing, I just don't know if you have time to do that anymore. I just don't, I mean, like it's great that we got Sane for a couple of years and this and that, but like the opportunity to go get an experienced quarterback that's that's battle tested, that exactly that's got 40 or 50 games under their belt, is an older guy. I think that's the meta. I think doing it this way with Julian, going through the growing pains, I like to think it's going to pay big dividends, but how long is it going to pay dividends for? 1 year maybe, and then he's gone on to the draft. I think taking the transfer quarterbacks is absolutely the way to go, given the structure of college football today. And I'll now hand the mic back to you, because again, I could talk for the next 3 hours on this
Yeah,
topic.
no, I feel you, Nevada, and I'm taking notes in my head because you just said a bunch of stuff that I'm like, okay, I have to hit on this, and I'm trying to make sure I pace myself. But okay, so let me take this off. I'm gonna pull this back up in a minute. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for now because I was about to show something. The first thing I'm going to address is the QB run. Okay, so this goes back to a narrative, an issue. I took issue with many people dogging CJ Stroud for not running the ball and being scared and soft and all this other stuff. Instead of looking at Ryan Day, who let me be specific. Okay. The Northwestern game in Nevada, you tell me, well, you're on mute. I'm not going to make you come off of mute. I was just going to say, do you remember the Northwestern game at Northwestern, where it was a tight, windy game, sort of like the Texas A&M Miami game, couldn't throw the ball, and CJ Stroud had to run the ball to get us out of a jam and win the game? Okay? It was that game where it was revealed. Remember, I'm press conference boy. I watch all the press conferences, right? Because I'm a nerd, I'm boring, and I'm an idiot. I watch all the pressers. In that post-game presser, CJ Stroud was asked about his running. He said that there's been multiple times that he's went up to Coach Day and said, listen, I will run the ball more. But Coach Day did not want him to run the ball. But yet we had all these podcasters and couch coaches calling him soft, and he was afraid to run the ball. Okay? So now, fast forward, we're seeing a trend here, are we not? I think if the quarterback is not Will Howard, 6'5", 240, Ryan Day is afraid to put his QB in harm's way. Now, listen, I'm not playing with his chips. This is his pieces. He understands his personnel. He understands who he has at the backup. I get it. I can see the concern, like, dang, I don't want to get my QB hurt. We see Will Howard got his bell rung against Michigan last year, had to come out. He was not the same. I'm not acting like a coach should not have a concern about his quarterback running, but it can't be to the point where it's almost a discouragement, even if it's unsaid, for that QB to scramble. What Beck did last night, kudos to Beck, man. Sleepy eyes Beck. It wasn't even his arm per se that killed us. You're right, Nevada. Those scrambles on 3rd and long and 3rd down absolutely murdered us. I mean, it's such a backbreaking feeling when a quarterback, especially who's not known for running, just moves the chains with his legs. I got it in my notes. He did it so many times. And so, yes, I agree with you. And here's the thing, and I'll end the QB part. Sayan has the ability to move the chains with his legs. He even said in the post-game presser that he should have taken off more. I'm paraphrasing, but he said he could have scrambled more. So this is something that has to change. Either you're going to coach them up to take off more so that they feel confident and comfortable to do it, or you're going to need to focus on more QBs who can run or that you trust physically to take on the pounding of running, period. Because you're right, it is a problem. There were way too many times. It was a 3rd and 2 last night, y'all. Saying is looking downfield, 3rd and 2, and there's a wide open, like, yes, he would have had to get the first down to stop the clock. This was before the first half. It was 10 seconds left. He threw it away. The announcer even said if he just scrambles and picks up the first down, it stops the clock. Okay, he could have picked up 15, 20 yards easily. All right, and got Fielding, who was already mentally fragile, in a closer spot to make him less mentally fragile. I don't know. But I'm gonna end it there with the QB stuff, okay? Because I can go on and on. I agree with you, Nevada. I'll go with the pick 6 for now, and I'll make this quicker. With the pick 6, maybe JJ was put in a difficult spot, but we've run that play a gazillion times. Brandon Ennis averages 5 to 7 yards on that play. We do well with that play. That was one of the many adjustments that people swear we didn't make to get the ball out quickly to the perimeter to negate their pass rush. It's like an extended run that works well for us. Jeremiah Smith, and even the announcer pointed this out, I agree with the announcer on this, he tried to loop around and kind of beat his man to the spot, not knowing that his man was anticipating the throw coming instead of anticipating trying to get through the block to get around the edge to Ennis. That's what I saw. If you watch film, you know that they're trying to get Ennis. Jeremiah Smith is trying to seal his man off from the sideline so he can cut to the outside and get around. The man, I forget his name, really good player, he watched film and he just cut straight into the play and just picked the ball off. And Jeremiah Smith should have gotten in front of him instead of trying to get around him to seal him. That's what I saw. And so, period. Great play by the Miami player, but Jeremiah Smith probably got away with that several times this year and finally got burnt by it. That's my perspective and my opinion on that. Lastly, play calling. And we can kind of go back and forth on this one because this is my longest thing. And I'm going to stop so that you can get back in. But this frustrates me to no end. No end, Nevada, because I've said this to y'all before. Fans on social media and on the internet and on their message board, I'm going to try to say this the nicest way. You said lazy, okay? There's a lot of lazy takes that fans make after losses. And, oh, the play calling sucked. It's like the number one on the list of lazy. And it's just like, did you go back and rewatch the game? Matter of fact, Nevada, let's do this because I got several plays like this. This is what I was about to share. And this is what irritates me because you made the point, Nevada, that I forget what you said was lazy. Yeah. You said that, he should have hit Tate wide open. Okay. You made the point that people say that's the reason why we lost. Well, I'm going to use that same point and say, to me, that play is another indicator that the play calling was not bad because we schemed it up and he was wide open. Now, yes, Nevada, I agree. It was a tough throw. He would have had to flip his hips, but we've seen Julian Saying be able to throw off his back foot and flip his hips. I think even if he's wide open. So even if he just gets it out there, it may not be a touchdown, but it's a big 40, 50-yard gain. But the point is that bad play calling? I'm about to show y'all this right now. Let me pull this up. This is the play that David Pollock shared. Here it is.
State backed up the perfect play call. It's the black zone. So you're backed up. Miami has to defend 90 yards. So unbelievable job here of taking a shot, moving the pockets. And now you stretch Bain down here. You stretch Mesidor, get them out of the way, move the pocket to protect your quarterback. You want to isolate a receiver and take a deep shot. Carnell Tate, first-round pick, right down the middle of the field. Lodi, he knew it right away.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. That is one of the biggest missed opportunities. Look at Tate. It's a walk-in. 90-yard touchdown.
All right. So I'm going to pick this back up, and then I'm going to hand you the mic, Nevada. I promise you. So real quick, again, when I went back and watched, I saw several immediate, at least attempts at adjusting, okay? As early as the second offensive series, I saw adjustments. This was another adjustment, rolling him out, moving the pocket, away from the pressure, which was the right side of the offensive line where they were eating, okay, and drawn up perfectly. Carnell Tate wide, butt naked open. Saying missed it, okay? Cool, it happens, like you said, Nevada. But the overall point I want to make is, and I got other examples for y'all, is that was a good play call by Ryan Day, and we did not execute it. Period. So Nevada, I'm gonna stop right there because I got a lot more to say about this play calling. Ryan Day's play calling was bad garbage.
Yeah, look, I just think on a play like that, when you roll your quarterback to the short side of the field, and you're a right-handed quarterback, and you're rolling to the left side like that, and then you're asking the quarterback to stop on the short side of the field, flip his hips, turn, throw across his body down to like that's tough. I mean, sure, we've seen it done, but like that the play was clearly designed to go to a flasher to the left side of the field because you're not throwing down the field that way. It's just not designed to be that way. If you're going to do that, you've got to roll to the strong side, you've got to roll to the wide side of the field, and you've got to roll to where you're on your throwing arm. Otherwise, it's just unless you're left-handed, it's just hard to make that throw. But look, we can go back and forth on play calls, this and that, but from being there in person, I loved that as we told you guys, the 13 and 14 personnel was dead, and we didn't see any of that nonsense.
Right.
I don't think we got stopped in short yardage. It certainly didn't end any possessions where we couldn't get it through on short yardage. And I thought we did enough good things, offensively, to get there at least in the second half. The first half, we looked rusty. Now, Indiana kind of flew in the face of the long layoff thing. Do I think the long layoff thing is a thing? I do. I think it's a something. I think the most overpowered position in this college football playoff is to be the number 5 seed. Number 5 seed gets number 12 at home the first week. So you get, James Madison or Tulane or whoever the heck you get. So you get a game in, and then you get rolling, and then you get to play the 4 seed. And we saw that play out again today. So I think that the way that the playoff is set up with these neutral site games, for Ohio State's reward for finishing number 2 in the country was a road trip to Dallas. You know what I'm saying? And that's, I just think structurally there's something wrong with that, from that system, the way that thing's set up. But at the end of the day, it's a game that's played, with an oblong ball, and this was just an iteration of the game where Miami won, and I really think it came down to the one play. I really think it came down to the pick six. And at that point, when we haven't been playing well. It's 7-0. We're driving the ball down the field, and you're thinking, wow, we're going to tie this thing up, and we're going to be right in this game, and it's going to be right there. And then all of a sudden, you're down 14-0. And then you miss a kick at the end of that. I mean, you're down 14-0. You miss a kick at the end of the half, and you're like, wow, could more bad things happen to this team? Right. And we still battled it back. Still got it to within 1. I'm not going to complain about the officiating. I will say that the holding call that they called when they haven't been calling penalties all game was terrible. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a bad call. He failed. He didn't even get.
He fell. And it was at an absolutely critical, vital time, and it took us out of range. I mean, so did it determine the game? Well, it determined that drive for sure. Like, it ended that drive. So that was horrible. Did I think that Ennis should have been able to have been suplexed when he didn't even have the ball?
Oh, yeah, that was terrible too.
I mean, I that felt a little. I don't know what that was about, but
that was bad, Nevada. That should have been a flag.
It's just bad luck. It's just bad. When stuff doesn't get called like that, it's just bad luck. And sometimes if you're getting the bad luck, you're not making the plays for yourself. You have some, brain cramps, whether we can agree to disagree on J. I mean, look, somebody should have blocked it, but, on the J.J. Smith thing, on the miss, the Carnell thing, or, look, we hit Tony. He fumbles the ball in the open field. Twice. And the ball it bounces right up to him again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
if it goes to one of our guys, maybe they return it for for a touchdown. Instead, it
Yeah.
comes right back at him. I mean, it was just one of those crazy games where stuff like that happens, and it's like I said, I'm just sad because I love the Buckeyes with all my heart, and I love this team, and I
Yeah.
love these players, and the fact that we won't get to see Caleb Downs in a uniform again, and a bunch of the other guys is going to make me sad. But hey, I've got to look at the bright side. The bright side is the transfer portal is open for business tomorrow. I believe tomorrow's the day,
Yep.
and there are a ton of guys. Now our entire staff can be committed to transfer portal shopping. And as I said in my earlier rant, all three of the teams that are remaining so far have transfer portal quarterback. The transfer portal is almost determinative of success now in college football. It's like it used to be traditional recruiting and development, but now you've got to put the transfer portal right up with with those things. Indiana has made their entire team out of the transfer portal, so
Yeah.
we've got to be active in the transfer portal. We can talk about the guys we so far. I believe we've lost, or at least have entered the portal. Not necessarily they haven't left yet, but Lincoln,
Mhm.
CJ Hicks was kind of a shock. CJ
Yeah, I was
Hicks was.
surprised by that.
I was surprised by that too because I'd been told that the reason he was redshirting was to come back, and
Yeah.
so that was a little bit of a surprise. You've got Bryce West, you've got Dom Kirks, you've got
Mhm.
Logan George who came in and then he's going back out. So Ohio's. I'm trying to think about who else is
It's one more,
in
ain't
the.
it?
Yeah, I believe there is one more. I'm just
Oh,
trying
well,
to.
Bryson Rogers, we already know about.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that might be it, unless I'm forgetting one. Posted in the chat. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I mean, for now the question really for me is, what are we going to do? What's going to happen with Ohio State in terms of the portal? And Ohio State is clearly in the business for a place kicker.
Yeah.
And again, this is probably a minority view, but I think you got to. The punter was good last night. The punter for Ohio State was good last. Like he kicked. He was 5 kicks, 44 and a half yards average in his kicks. No return. 44 and a half yards average kick is really good. He had that one kick that was a bomb at the end, got down to the 10-yard line, got called for the legal procedure, and then the next kick wasn't as good. But I thought he was pretty good. The entire that was the best I've seen him kick in his time here at Ohio State. So I'm actually cautiously optimistic about him. But I think we're getting Chaz Coleman, the defensive end from Penn State. I think the linebacker from Pitt is very likely to be coming to Ohio State.
Yeah, from
I know
Columbus.
from Columbus. I know Ohio State is super active in terms of looking for a premier running back and a premier wide receiver. I can just tell you right now, they are open for business for a running back and a wide receiver. How do I know that? Because I talked to the agents. The agents all know. Ohio State has put up a big sign saying we want a Quinshawn Judkins level type of running back to pair with Bo Jackson for next year, and we want a premier wide receiver to pair with J.J. Smith for 2026. So, I think watch the portal, see who those names are in terms of guys that are potentially, entrants. But Ohio State is open and ready to do business. And the one benefit of the loss, the one silver lining from that standpoint, is the entire staff can be focused on the portal now because there's nothing more important than the portal for Ohio State for 2026.
Yeah, great points about the portal. I think that's being revealed more and more of its importance of hitting the portal. And I guess it depends on your model if you can sustain it. Obviously, Indiana 2 years in a row of heavy portal. Right now, they're the 1 seed. In the Final Four, we'll see if they'll be able to finish it off. But yeah, to me, I think you make some very good points. Bunch of transfer portal, quarterbacks. Now, listen, real quick about Saying. And so I think we were reminded that as good as he was this season, he's a redshirt freshman. Or I'm sorry, redshirt freshman. And he showed that down the stretch. The balance is with Nevada saying, yes, quarterbacks are going to miss receivers. But at the same time, we know that Saying is still learning. And I feel like he'll miss less and less receivers. And he'll have a better feel for the game as he continues to get reps. He's still young. and I think he was brought back down to earth a little bit, and that's okay. He's a first-year guy, first-year starter. So with that said, we're still in a very, very, very good place personnel-wise, but we need to go out and make sure we hire a great OC, that we bring in a kicker who's not perfect. There's no perfect kicker, but Fielding missed kicks up here before he missed them on the field, in my opinion. And so we need to shore that up and make sure we take a long look at the offensive line and all that. But you make great points about the portal. I know some people are going to freak out about some of the guys we're leaving. I mean, it's just what it is. We always seem to do well as far as what we lose and what we get back from the portal. And so I'm not really tripping about it. Some aren't really surprises. Some are. And it is what it is. It's the new world we live in. But one other thing real quick. You mentioned about watching college football. Yeah, it's still fresh. I don't know if I didn't watch that much. I honestly spent more time, Nevada, watching our game again and taking notes. And I'm not gonna have time this pod to go into everything, but I had some other points to make about the play calling and how, again, for those who are saying that's the reason we lost and leading with Ryan Day sucks and the play calling was trash, I think you're wrong. I think you're super wrong. And we'll get into that later on another pod. But there's just so many examples after going back and watching Nevada. It's just like, dang. One thing I'll say before I pass the mic, on the second series, we made an immediate adjustment on third down. When they remember the first offensive series is when they overloaded the right side, Messidor and Bang. They brought a twist and a stunt, and Gabe Van Sickle got beat badly. So what did we do the second offensive series on third down? We threw it to the left side to Carnell Tate for a fade route, but it was a bad ball. That was an adjustment to get the ball out quick on the opposite side where the pressure was coming from. Okay? Good play call, bad execution by Julian Sand. Go ahead, Nevada.
Well, let me tell you, and I know Ohio State listens to this show, and I'm going to say something that I've said 1,000 times before, but I'm going to say it again. You have to vary the snap count. They were jumping the snap so bad last night. Yes. And it's like Ohio State did it one time this year, because every time they go to the tap, the snap's coming immediately after that. And all you have to do is go to the tap and don't snap the ball and watch them jump offside. And you could have slowed them. They were pounding the snap so badly last night that Bain looked like a combination of, Lawrence Taylor and, Michael Strahan and Reggie White combined. And he's a good player, but that's just a structural mistake by Ohio State. And if all you did, Ryan, was tell Julian Sand to run more, that it's okay to run, that you're fine with him trying to pick up yards with his legs, and that you were pro running instead of like because trust me, he tells the guys not to run. He does. I mean, he said it. CJ Stroud's come out there. They all know it. He's told, don't run you're not a runner. You're not a running back. You weren't brought to Ohio State to be running. These are stuff he says. This is how he coaches them. He coaches them not to run the football. And I think it's a mistake. But varying the snap count, man, could change so much for Ohio State. And you could trap these other teams so bad. You're 3rd and 4. You need 5 yards. Go up to the line. Look to the thing, have them snap tap the center, and then don't snap the ball, and watch the other team come flying across the line. And after you do that 2 or 3 domes, they're going to be less aggressive about doing it. But that's what they were doing last night. They were killing us jumping the snap count, and we never varied it. We never varied it one time. And again, that's on Ryan Day, man. That's on Ryan. He makes $10 million a year. He's got to be smarter than that. Just has to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was very noticeable. They were getting off the ball quick. But one other thing I will say, there was a series. I was going to play it. I uploaded a clip of it. It's about a minute long. Maybe I'll play it another episode. I'm not going to do it now. I'll just describe it. Nevada, this sequence of plays, we kind of mentioned it earlier, was such an emotional roller coaster. It was 3 plays. It was the bomb to J.J. Smith, okay? Our line actually protected well this play, and we took a shot downfield because Ryan Day, even after the game, he was talking about how he was trying to make sure he could at least attempt shots downfield because he liked the matchup against that back end. And he's right. And this is what I was saying. SMU and Louisville was able to exploit their secondary, y'all. That's how they beat them. And so we got the deep shot to JJ for 60 yards, right? The next play is when we had Max Clare on a little route up the seam, wide open for a touchdown. And guess what? Reuben Bain makes Luke Montgomery look silly and slaps him down, comes in, and he's also getting pressure from the right from Messidor because Phillip Daniels got beat a little bit around the end. Max Clare is wide open right there. I mean, literally wide open for a TD. Now, I believe the older, more experienced Julian Sayin will be able to feel that pressure and step up in the pocket despite what he feels is coming and get rid of it because he had time to do it. If he wasn't so concerned about the rush, but he was already sped up and skittish because of the breakdowns. But if he stands tall in the pocket and throws it before Bang gets there, that's a TD. Now, is that bad play calling? No, it was drawn up perfectly. It was not executed. So again, this team will get better. Sayin is young. We need to get this O-line together, though. I know that much. Like you said, Bain is very good, but we made him look like otherworldly Hall of Famer now. Give him the gold jacket now last night, and it's crazy. And I know we got a lot of super chats, so we can get to that in a moment. Nevada, you got anything on that?
Well, I'm just going to say I am not as down on the offensive line as a lot of people are. I'm not ready to blow up this. I personally don't think offensive line's a big need in the portal. I think we have bigger needs. I mean, do I think you can always go to guys that can upgrade? Sure. I said it for every position, but I think we have bigger needs in the offensive line. I like Ian Moore an awful lot. I think Ian Moore and Phillip Daniels should be your bookend tackles next year.
Yeah, they play well. They play well.
And put
Ian
and put
Moore,
Sire,
I should say. Yeah.
And put Sirevelt at right guard. Put him at right guard with Luke at left guard and Carson at center and Josh Padilla back. I mean, you've got a lot of dudes there, on the offensive line. I just think that I think people, I think people, you want to scapegoat guys, you want to scapegoat things, and that's why I'm trying to avoid just silly sound bites or silly. I mean, I'm trying to identify. I don't want to just identify problems without identifying the solution. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I think identifying problems is easy, but identifying the solutions is a little bit more challenging. And I think for Ohio State, I really believe the quarterback run. I mean, I went back and looked at our last three national championships. Okay, last three national championships. Craig Krenzel, quarterback, 2002, was our leading rusher in the national title game. Obviously, wasn't a great passer, but was a terrific runner. Won a national championship. 2015, Cardell Jones. Obviously, good passer, but man, he made some big runs throughout that entire thing. Was running over fools and doing stuff like that. And then 2024, Will Howard. And Will Howard was obviously a very capable passing quarterback, but boy, he was a horse and could run the ball. And it's like, I mean, there is a common denominator, though. There's all three of those. You can win with quarterbacks that are just good passers as long as they're willing runners. But I'm not sure you can win with just a great passer without being a willing runner. I think in today's college football, I think it's almost impossible to win that way. I really not impossible, but it's doing it absolutely. You have to be perfect to do it that way. It's absolutely the most difficult way possible. And now between 2 years of CJ Stroud, 1 year of Kyle McCord, and 1 year of Julian Sayin, we've had 4 years of the last 5 where we've had 0 rushing TDs out of our QB1. 0. You know where that places us in college football? Dead last.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Absolutely dead last.
That's the stat right there. I mean, you've said some good points, but that right there is just like the boom, to really
0.
slam it home.
You know what the next lowest is over that period of time? 6, and we're 0. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what an aversion we have to running the quarterback, in short yardage and around the goal line. It's absolutely insane. And again, and this is across quarterbacks, across time. it's a Ryan Day thing, man. It's not an Ohio State. These quarterbacks are willing to do it, but Ryan's got to make them let them know it's okay to do it.
Nah, I hear you. And listen, kudos to the O line in the second half. We did make some adjustments. We ran more gap scheme, more counter, pulling guards and tackles instead of more outside zone and stuff like that. They played much better. The running backs, I thought Bo Jackson played well. I thought him and Donaldson ran well, but the rushing yards were negated by the sacks, the 15-yard, 20-yard losses. Kudos to the O line in the second half. Ian Moore played well. I didn't even realize Saraville went out until, I like, oh, he's out. And so, yeah, Van Sickle, he was not ready. He clearly was not ready. But they did step up in the second half. That first drive of the second half was very impressive. We came out running the ball down their throat, gaping holes, and we were able to do some things off of that. But just too little, too late.
Let me say one thing. It's just, despite the negative yards from the thing, and that those are not team stats. Those come off your yards. We still outgained Miami. We outgained Miami in the game.
I know. It's crazy.
And it was, that was pretty wild to me. And what I'd say with Bo Jackson, I think Bo's a good back, but some of those plays, and again, I have to go back and watch, but when you're there watching, some of those holes were gaping. Like some of these, they had some plays blocked up where there were big holes.
Yes.
And he get like 7 yards, and you're like, man, that just felt like that should go for 37, not 7. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just look at like how many long runs did Bo Jackson break this year, and it's like one. Maybe, like he always seemed to, somebody tripped him up or somebody brought him down. And, I know Trey, spoiled us and now he's the biggest home run hitter in the NFL, and Quinshawn. But like, that's what you need. We need to pair him with somebody who can stretch the field and can really take the top off, because right now I think doing it with just good backs, even when plays are blocked up, you're just not getting enough yards. But that, like I said, subject for another podcast, another day.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I like the notion of pairing him, because I like Bo Jackson a lot. I do think his speed can increase with more training, more, whatever Mickey can do. And I think he's going to get better. I was very impressed with Bo Jackson this year as a true freshman coming in. And so, and I'm not saying, just for the record, I'm not saying Nevada's not impressed with him. He's just saying, like, Henderson did spoil us. Nobody was catching Henderson, even his freshman year. But he has, as we see now, Nevada, to be fair, he's doing that in the freaking NFL. So Henderson is a different cat, man. But I understand it will be great to get something similar to pair with Bo Jackson, because I think Bo can eventually get to the point where he won't get caught behind as much, but also he'll just continue to improve naturally because he's still young. And so I'll just say that, and then we can hop on Super Chats if you want to respond to that.
No, I just say it was amazing that people didn't really appreciate Trey Henderson when he was here, because
oh man.
Yeah,
we both rode for him. Like, I know we weren't like potting together back then, but trust and believe. I was banging for Henderson, like, man, y'all tripping. He's soft. What? Like, what are you talking about?
He doesn't have vision. He can't just like, what are you talking about?
Right. Craziness, man. All right, y'all. Let's get to it. Again, I had so much to say, and I still got more to say, but we got many pods to go. We can circle back, but actually, I may be able to say it depending on what the Super Chats say. We'll see. Ernie Gonzalez, thanks for the 199. Moving forward, who stays and who goes? Big question. I mean, that's too much to answer right now. I mean, just comprehensively, that's a big question. I don't know. Nevada?
Well, I mean, I think, I guess we gave a list of guys. I missed Sam Dixon Williams as another guy that was leaving.
Okay.
The only person of note that's leaving so far, the only person that's been a head scratcher for me, frankly, has been CJ Hicks.
Yeah.
CJ Hicks is a guy that I really thought had a role for next year on this defense. Defense losing a lot of guys next year. But for CJ to be moving on, I think it's a little curious. I think it's kind of the new age of college football, though, where guys, for a lot of these guys, you have to remember their chance to make money maybe better next year, their last year in college, than it's ever going to be in the NFL. They may have better prospects to go get paid some. I mean, Zen Mikulski got paid $700,000 to go be the backup tackle at Indiana this year.
It's crazy.
A guy that was crazy. So what is CJ Hicks, an Ohio State linebacker, former 5-star? I mean, somebody will pay him. And, if CJ Hicks went in the NFL draft, wouldn't get drafted. And it may be in the CFL somewhere or something like that. But does he have a chance to go get 800,000 from somebody? Maybe he does.
Yeah.
So, and maybe he comes back. Maybe, sometimes these guys go in and they come back to school that they portaled, they did. I mean, look, that's what Carter Smith did for Indiana last year. Went in the portal, visited Ohio State. Ohio State told him thanks, but no thanks. He went to Indiana, lineman of the year, and one of those anchors of that lineman there. So, you just never know on kids. But in terms of who's going, I think he's the only guy that I would say that's kind of a head scratcher that I was really, thinking that had a real future here as a contributor. So far, I think we've kind of dodged the bullet, and I've kind of already outlined what I think's, coming in terms of, I think Chaz Coleman's coming in. I think the linebacker from Pitt's coming in. I would expect a premier wide receiver and a premier running back to be coming in as well. So, and hopefully I hope we hold on to a guy like Kenyatta Jackson. Because after watching Kenyatta Jackson play yesterday, do I think he's ready for the NFL? Nope, I don't. Think he should come back. Think he should come back and, get paid, develop more, enhance his draft stock and have a great another year and come back. So, I think a guy like that, that's the one other benefit of a game like that last night is maybe some guys don't want to leave it, don't want to end it that way. They don't want to end on a note like that, want to come back in the future. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree about Kenyatta. I think he has a potential bright future, but I just didn't see it down the stretch to say, how we saw it with JT and even Jack Sawyer, like they kind of like climaxed.
They leveled up.
Yeah,
they leveled
exactly. All right. Ernie, again, thanks for the 499. Nothing like getting hit with a backside George reverse last night and turning out the lights. I'm not sure of the reference. Do you understand that reference, Nevada?
I do not know what that means exactly, but
Ernie, hit that chat so we can, because I'm curious.
It may be a little too nuanced for me there. It might be. I just thought it was a little hip, a little contemporary, and maybe it just went over my head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, same here. Usually I'm all over the references, but that one, and maybe it's just I'm just still reeling from the loss that my brain cells aren't firing. But yeah, hit the chat and explain that.
And when I see backside George reverse, what I'm thinking is Brandon Ennis getting the backside George reverse body slam or something like that.
Oh, but, man, that was low key bad, man. Like I was shocked they did not call that flag. I just feel like if he would have done that, we would have got a 30-yard penalty. Oh, 2 flags for you. Like, how do you not call that?
But you don't look. Just the act itself is terrible. But the fact that he didn't even have the ball, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's like,
how do you not call that?
I don't. That was absolutely brutal.
Yeah, it was. Again, we're not saying that's the reason we lost. Idiots out there who want to just, whatever. We're just saying.
It was just weird. It was
just weird. Exactly. All right, Stilly Matt, my brother, thanks for the 199. Happy New Year, Buckeye Nation. Happy New Year to everyone. 2026. Also, Nevada, I'm done playing games. Buckeyes don't even accept an invite to play on New Year's Eve anymore. We lost to Georgia on New Year's Eve. We lost to Clemson on New Year's Eve. I'm sick of it, Nevada.
Yeah, first time the Cotton Bowl was played twice in the same year ever in their history.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah, we could have won it twice in 2025, which would have been pretty crazy. But no, like have a New Year's Eve game in the shoe, I'm there, and that would be the craziest environment ever. Ever in the history.
New Year in the shoe.
Oh my! Can you imagine? I mean, but that's where those games should be. That should be the reward for the regular season. Is higher seeded teams get it through at least through into the semifinal, if not into the final. Have those games be home games for the teams. They do it in the NFL. They do it at the lower levels. That's what it should be. Now, you saw the game today. What was the earlier game today? I'm tripping.
Oregon and Texas Tech.
Nobody was there. Nobody was there.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
crowd. Did you see the crowd? That was the
Yep.
most brutal. Those pictures. It was absolutely brutal. Now, again, if that game's at Texas Tech, it's the
Oh, yeah.
toughest ticket in the history of Texas Tech football. But I mean,
Yep.
like nobody's at the game. I think it's a mistake not having these games on campus. I think they got to get these games back on campus.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And hopefully they'll continue to evaluate, just like they evaluated the seedings. I mean, every year you make tweaks that make sense.
Well,
Raymond
also,
Mitchell.
I
Oh, go
I
ahead.
just want to say one more thing on that. Just the expense of going to these games, man. I'm just telling you, like
Oh, yeah.
the expense of it's one thing if the game's in Columbus and everybody can go, but like the fact that everybody's got to fly down to Dallas and then get a hotel and then get the rental cars and this and then we're going to go to the Fiesta Bowl and then let's let's everybody go down to Miami. Like at some point, you are
Yeah.
pricing a lot of the market out of this thing, and
Yes.
I think that's a crazy thing that they're doing, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed. But I don't want to go on down that point.
No, I agree. And listen, I mean, even we ain't saying you got to be rich, but even those who are decently, well off, it's just like, all right, now, come on now. You starting to tap my pockets a little bit. But no, I feel you on that. That's a little excessive. All right, Raymond Mitchell, thanks for the 10. We really missed Chip Kelly last night. Starting to think Day's reputation as an elite play caller was propped up by Kevin Wilson. Also, a lot of us owe Justin Fry a huge apology. I've already given my thoughts on the first part of your super chat, Raymond. We just disagree on this. I think it's been a weird narrative about Ryan Day. I said this on a couple pods ago. It's like people pick and choose. If we have a good game, he gets no credit offensively. If it's a bad game, then he must have called the plays and not Chip Kelly. Just like last year, Michigan. People said, oh, Ryan Day was calling the plays against Michigan last year. Chip Kelly was in the booth. Ryan Day must have been calling the plays against Indiana. Brian Hartline was in the booth. And he announces he's taking over play calling to take it off of Brian Hartline's plate. This is not about you, Raymond, personally, but it's just been a weird narrative about Ryan Day as if he's just trash at play calling. I went back and watched the game play by play last night. I just gave you some evidence that if some of these plays that were huge plays were executed properly, we're not talking about play calling. I saw real-time adjustments in the game from Ryan Day, from the pressure that was coming, from the breakdowns. And that's just one aspect of the game. Me and Nevada have talked about balls bouncing the wrong way. Freaking, you mentioned earlier, what's his name? Malachi Tony. Caleb Downs makes him fumble twice, and the ball literally bounces right back into his hand like a basketball. Crazy. It's just some parts of it is just not our night. But I think the play calling, or the play calling was bad, is one of the laziest takes from fans who just knee-jerk react to a loss, not really going back and looking at the game and really seeing everything that happened. That's just my strong opinion, Raymond. No offense against you. That's just how I feel about it. Nevada, what you got? Oh, I'm sorry, real quick. Justin Fry, I agree with that, with Justin Fry deserving an apology. I mentioned this earlier in a chat with some buddies. Justin Fry got a raw deal here with some of the attacks from the fans, in my opinion. Go ahead, Nevada.
Well, I think with Ryan, do I think he missed Chip Kelly? Yeah, I think Ryan not having an elite play calling offensive coordinator is putting him at a disadvantage. I mean, first of all, Ryan had to call the plays from the sideline, which is not what Ryan did. Ryan Day, when he was an offensive coordinator, he called him from the booth. You know what I'm saying? So we're asking him to call the plays from the sideline. That's different. You know what I'm saying? So do I think that does better when he's got Kevin Wilson in the booth or Chip Kelly in the
Yeah,
booth
of
or
course.
Brian Dable in the booth? Yeah, absolutely. So but I think there's the difference between missing somebody and that Ryan Day did a bad job. I think Ryan Day did I was fine with the play calls, and I'd be the first one to call that stuff out. I thought Ryan Day was fine with the play calls, but I think we need an elite offensive. I think he needs an elite offensive. He needs another hire, the equivalent of Matt Patricia on the defensive side, to manage the offense for him. I think that's what he needs. He needs an adult with creativity that can sit up in that box and scheme stuff up. Because I don't think the long-term solution for anybody is having Ryan Day calling the plays from the sideline. He was trying to do it last night. I thought he did a credible job. That was not is if that's a reason we lost. It's reason number 64
Exactly.
on my list. I can go. There's a lot of other things I can go to, but I do think he needs to make a good offensive coordinator hire, and I think that will. And I think he will.
Gotcha. Thank you for pointing that out, because the long-term overarching beneficial thing is for him to have an OC, like you said, up in the booth, so he doesn't have to do that. Like 1000%, that is the best case scenario. However, last night, after rewatching this game and looking at everything as a big with the bigger picture, he wasn't at fault for the play. Like, I didn't have a problem with the play calling, like, at all. I just didn't. Now you can go back for any play caller in Nevada and say, dang, maybe we could have did this. Maybe you can do that, but this notion that because it's fans by the droves are just, oh, the play calling was bad. The play calling was bad. It's like, did you watch the game? I don't know. I get frustrated with that. But anyway, before we move on, Nevada, did you have something to say about Justin Fry being needing a huge apology?
Well, look, I've always felt that the offensive line, the offensive line is a victim of scheme, man. When the scheme's good, the offensive line looks good, and when the scheme isn't as good or isn't as challenging or doesn't stress the defense as much, that it's bad. And I really believe, and I'm gonna say this, and you guys, I'm ready for the chat to explode and say, Nevada, you're just an old guy that's babbling. I think if we just had varied the snap count last night, it could have made a difference in the game. I really think that. I
That's
really
fair.
think
I think
it
that's
would have made
fair.
the offensive line look a lot better. I think we could have completely confounded Miami by just. I mean, look at this. I don't want to get too far afield, but look what Aaron Rodgers does every week with the hard count
Yeah.
in the NFL. How many times does he get guys to jump in big? You know what I'm saying? He has made a career out of doing it.
Yes.
There's an art to doing that, and we don't ever do it. We don't ever do it. We don't vary our snap count. We go on the same sounds. We go on the same motions. We do it every single time. You're telling me we can't coach that? I do not buy that. I do not buy that for 1 second. I think that's an easy fix, and I think I honestly believe it could have been the difference in the game last night. But and you may call me crazy, but I think it would have completely slowed down that pass rush.
Yeah, and you got me thinking now, because that's one thing I wasn't paying too much attention to. I'm gonna go back and watch again, like I always do, and I'm gonna really look at that. And because you got me curious now, but I think that's a fair point. Yisa Carl, thanks for the $9.99. Tyler Bowen needs help. Offensive line got beat up last night. No adjustments. You roll the pocket, run a few more screens and draws. You lead the tight end to chip, help out the offensive line. You got anything on that, Nevada?
Well, the fact that we're not I mean, look, you're seeing every team in the NFL right now, and Quinshawn and Trey are two of the most devious guys in the world that do this. They come around the corner and they kind of sneak. When those defensive ends are kind of racing around the corner, they kind of sneak up there and then just bang him in the shoulder right there. And they did it to Micah Parsons. Quinshawn did that to Micah Parsons earlier this year and nearly took him out of the game. Because when the guy's screaming on the corner, the last thing he's expecting is to have a linebacker a running back set up there and hit him in the shoulder. And we didn't do that one time. We left our guys out there on islands. We didn't chip with the running backs. We didn't chip with the tight ends. We weren't getting them help. And I think it's coaching malpractice. And whether that's on Bowen, whether that's on Hartline, whether that's on Ryan Day, whoever's scheming the protections, I think it's a huge mistake that we don't do that enough. NFL teams do it all day, and it is watch the NFL games in terms of the way that they chip with the running backs before they go out. I'm telling you, you can slow guys down considerably because the first time he comes screaming out, he's just thinking, I'm going to sprint around the end around you, and a running back steps up there and hits him. It absolutely is jarring to them if you do it. We don't do it at all. I think that should be another, that's such an easy fix structurally that we can do to our team. Don't do it nearly enough.
No, that's a great point. We were masterful at that with Quinshawn, and I mean, them two boys was brutes anyway. I missed them from a pass pro, and just even lead blocking standpoint. They were amazing. Little things like that are huge that are missed. Chef Garcia, thanks for the $4.99. Saying needs to learn to run the ball, especially when the pocket collapses. Yeah, I don't know when you came in, or maybe you were just agreeing, but we hit on that considerably. we went in on that. Yes, we both agree. He even admitted it in the post-game presser. I believe it's something that he'll – okay, somebody in the regular chat, not the super chat, said that they saw Ryan Day upset that he didn't run. Cool. That's good. That's a good sign that Ryan Day is willing to allow that to happen, but it needs to happen. So if that's the case, then my hope is that this is something that will be implemented more going into next season of him understanding. Did you see what that veteran quarterback who's not better than you did? He moved the chains. And one thing I'll give credit to Beck about, he didn't hesitate. When he saw that pocket was like, even before it got too late, he would get out of there and move the chains. And Sayan has to have that same knack. And I have hope that he will, Nevada.
Well, Julian rushed for more yards in high school than Arch Manning did. So, like Julian's saying, he's a running court. He's capable of doing it. I am telling you, you can't tell me after you've watched multiple years of Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud, Kyle McCord, and now Julian's saying all not running to their either abilities or their interest or their willingness, that it's all on the quarterbacks. I am telling you, they're being coached this way. That, so Ryan can say what he wants, or he can be frustrated or whatever it was, but he clearly. So I mean, look, C.J. Stroud says it in a press conference. He goes publicly says, "I tell the coach I want to run more, but he doesn't want me to run." It's like that's on Ryan, man. Like Ryan at best is giving those guys mixed messages about running, and I think it causes them to hesitate. And when you hesitate and you're not decisive, also Beck, I give him all the credit in the world. He was absolutely decisive with his running. He ran at the right time. A lot of that comes from being a veteran. He's been around a lot. He's seen a lot. He's played a lot of football. But man, he was good. He killed it. He passed for 138 yards last night. He didn't kill us with his passing. He killed us with his running.
Yep.
That's what killed us. And kudos to him. But I'm telling you, this is a Ryan Day joint. It's not the quarterback. Julian Sain will run the football. I saw the kid rush for 160 yards in one game, and he'll run the football.
Yeah,
it's Ryan Day, man. Ryan Day's got to be willing to let these guys run and encourage them to do so.
Amen. I like what you said. At minimum, if we want to be charitable, it's mixed messages, clearly. And so, again, you talk about who needs an apology. I think C.J. Stroud needs an apology here from some of our fans and some of our media and podcasters who used to just go after this young man's manhood based off of a false narrative that he was afraid to run. And so, we're on to something here.
Well, he runs in the NFL. He runs in the NFL all the time. He's not afraid. Those guys are bigger.
And he ran in high school. He ran in high school too. And his first play was a 40-yard touchdown against Michigan State.
I know. Yeah. That's a fact.
That's right. It used to drive me crazy when I would hear people just dog C.J. Stroud like he was a punk or soft. And it's just like, do y'all pay attention?
Well, if that was true, he wouldn't run in the NFL, and that's fair. I mean, that maybe, but he runs in the NFL. He runs in the NFL all the time. So it's like, I mean, like I said, that's when I look at the context clues, and I'm like, man, this isn't on the guys. This is, I mean, Justin Fields literally makes a living out of running in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, he rushed for 200 yards in one game. I mean, like he's like a running fool out in the NFL. Barely ran in college. Come on.
Yep. So, I mean, the evidence, we're laying out the evidence, people. Just saying, all right, whatever. Our receivers, Ernie Gonzalez, thanks for the 499. Receivers need help accountable to block at all times, or held accountable. Yeah, definitely. I don't know specifically the context of that. Maybe last night. I mean, yes, JJ, arguably missed that block. But other than that, I really didn't see much that would say they need to block better. But maybe it's just a general statement. Maybe that was when I said that. I don't know. Nevada, you got anything on that?
Yeah, no, they absolutely do. I mean, they absolutely do. I think we've been better. Not as good as, under Urban, we were absolutely, our guys were, just demons on the outside thing. And I think it's fallen off a little bit, but I think, I think Chip Kelly had gotten them a little bit more accountable about that. And, look, would I love to JJ to made that block? Yeah. I mean, clearly that was the play of the game. I mean, it's the play, you think back how many times we've had pick sixes at Ohio State. Doesn't happen often. Can you remember the last one?
I cannot. Oh, I can. Penn State. At Penn State, Will Howard.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right. It doesn't
before
happen.
that, though, when?
Yeah, like JT Barrett at Iowa. I mean, like it doesn't happen
Yeah,
often. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? So it's
yeah,
like, they're notable because we remember them because they happen so infrequently. But yeah,
right.
that was unfortunate.
It was that you're right. Without that pick six, I mean, we give up our defense. Well, it's seven. I mean, at worst, it's 7-0 going into the half, and then we come out and score and tie it up 7-7. I mean,
Exactly.
it's huge. It was huge. Great play by that Miami kid. Great play by him. Buckeyes 10-27. Thanks for the 999. Why in the world would they kick a field goal with that kicker? Much better odds to go for it. The offensive line looked like crap. Horrible technique by all five of them all night long. Only thing I'll say is, I mean, that's a tough spot. You're at the 49-yard line. You've got no points. What a Hail Mary. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's just like at some point, it's just like, man, can we get this guy going? He's made a 49-yard before. We're in a dome. Maybe we can unlock some momentum out of this kid. That's a tough spot. But I get what you're saying, man. Hindsight is 2020. I get it. But Nevada, what you got on all this?
Well, you had to kick the field goal. I mean, like you said, you have no timeouts left.
Right.
10 seconds to go. I mean, you have to kick the field goal in that situation. I mean, obviously you can make a first down or whatever, but then you're just kicking a field goal from a different thing, and maybe you run out of time. You know what I'm saying? So, there's a lot of reasons to kick the field. You watching him in warm-ups, he clearly had the leg, clearly had the range. It was the range was not an issue for him.
Exactly.
He just didn't make it. And then a guy stepped up and stroked a 50-yarder. You know what I'm saying? And that's another difference in the game right there too. Their guy made a 50-yarder, our guy missed a 50-yarder. So as for the offensive line, I know LaCharles came out with a post today, and a lot of people are, kind of, criticizing the offensive line. And I'm sure there's some validity in a lot of that, but I like our offensive line. I really do. I have high hopes for the offensive line. Again, I think with some changes, with some things that we could have done in terms of the offense, in terms of providing some constraint. I don't want to go back in on the snap count, but run the quarterback, do some other things that could constrain the defense line from just teeing off on you. And I think we look a lot better. But I'll point out again, we outgained Miami last night. Now, I know that doesn't mean everything. Sometimes people are like, oh, Texas outgained Ohio State in the first game. But, like, we outgained them. We actually moved the ball better than Miami did last night. And everybody's glazing their offensive line. So, it's just it was a tough spot. We had Ian Moore out there first time at left tackle, and I actually thought he played okay.
He did. Yeah,
So,
I thought he was solid too. Yeah,
he was solid. So hey, on to 2026.
Yep, and I think the O-line actually did pretty well after rewatch and run blocking specifically. They were pretty clean run blocking, and so it's just a mixed bag. We got to get better overall in the O-line, in my opinion. But I think the nuances and things you mentioned are helpful. I think, as you like to say, that's a something. I agree. What you're saying is a something, and so we just need to be more consistent, and whatever that takes is what we need. Sean Krutka, thanks for the 5. Saying struggled all night with decision making. Excuse me, decision making. The miss over the middle to clear was abysmal. You can't miss a wide open target for a walk-in TD. Sean, you're wrong. The play calling was trash. Didn't you hear? That was a bad play call by Ryan Day to scheme up Max Clear for a wide open TD. So you're wrong on that. But no, again, I think saying he will get better. And first of all, that wasn't all on saying, in the sense that Montgomery got beat badly. I mean, pathetically beat by Bain. And you got pressure from the right side. Now, saying there's a few things of responsibility here. O-line has to be better, but Sayan has to, and I believe he will, with experience and reps, be able to feel that pressure and understand you have a guy. Keep your eyes downfield and still deliver that ball, because he had time to do that if his eyes wasn't down looking at the rush. I'll rewatch that play 15 times. I believe if he went through that again after watching film, he makes that play, because Clear was butt naked open. And so yeah, I'll say that. Let me see. Yep. Nevada, what you got on that?
Well, look, I mean, the one benefit I had from being at the game is you could kind of see the whole field in terms of guys. And
Yes.
look, I'm sure there were a couple of times when guys were running open, but it wasn't often, man. I'm telling you what, it was not often. I mean, maybe some people can pull some stuff up, and I'd love to see it because certainly I didn't have perfect vision, but when plays would go long or he would check out down or whatever, I was scanning the field to see what was going on, and our guys they weren't running open. So the idea that guys were running open the entire night and saying was just missing them is just not it's just not true. I mean, it may have seemed that he made the two throws to JJ, the touchdown throw to JJ and the bomb to JJ were absolutely dots. And a lot of
Yes.
times, he was under duress. The Claire one was clearly on the offensive line. I mean, that was offensive line the entire way. We talked about the Carnell Tate one, but I don't remember a lot of guys just running open. I mean, to hear people talk about it, you think that our receivers were just running open the whole game and saying was back there, playing patty cake or something like that. And I didn't see it that way, but I'm certainly open to more evidence that maybe I missed from being at the game because you don't see everything at the game, but that's not how I remember it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's not the case. It's just like when you got two plays that could possibly be TDs, that is amplified to hyperbole of the whole game because you're not taking away from how huge those plays would have been, but you're also kind of some people, maybe even unintentionally, kind of like making it seem like it was like every quarter, like it was four wide open receivers he missed every quarter. Like no, but those were
Well,
two.
but even on the Tate one, like he's got a guy trailing him. Like the idea that he would have walked in a 90-yard touchdown like
Oh
David
yeah, I
Fox,
didn't
man,
agree with that. He would have.
I
He
don't
would have.
agree.
Yeah, he would have had a
It
big
would have
game, but
it'd
no.
have been a big game, but it wasn't a touchdown. Like he wasn't I mean,
Yeah,
even if he had flipped it through a dot right on the thing, that safety's coming over right over the top. I
yeah,
think he tackles him at the 50. It would have been a big play for sure.
yeah.
But now the Claire one was different, but man, like you said, that guy was right at his feet right away.
Yep. All right, cool. Let me see. All right, Ernie Gonzalez again. Thanks for the 199. I heard Tavion will push hard to beat out Julian. Yeah, he should. Every quarterback on the roster should push hard to beat out the starter. And I think Tavion can be really, really good, but he's going to have to be really, really good to beat Saying out because, again, I'm not here overreacting. Julian Saying is still a really good player in his first year as a starter. So I expect him to improve. I expect him to get better and learn from his mistakes. And so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. So, Nevada, I don't know what you got on that.
Julian Saint's going to win the Heisman next year. So, Tavian, I'm sure he'll work hard, but Tavian, his big contributions next year is going to be holding the clipboard and handing Gatorade to Julian when he runs off the field and stuff like that. So, Tavian, it's the Julian Saint show, and you've invested a year in Julian already anyway. But he's look, you could have a quarterback. Michigan has a quarterback that just finished his first year starting too, and his name is Bryce Underwood, and he sucks. And that guy's got the worst mechanics that I've ever seen. Turns the ball over every time, and like that could be your quarterback. We have Julian saying, we're nitpicky. Did he miss this one play here on this one thing? I mean, Julian's a great quarterback, and he's going to be the first pick in the draft too. When he goes out in 2 years, he'll be the first pick of the draft. So no, Tavian St. Clair is not going to beat him out anytime soon. Tavian's time will come, but that's after Julian's gone.
Yep, I'm very high on Tavian, but yeah, I don't see that happening either. Chef Garcia, excuse me. Thanks for the 999. I agree that Ryan Day needs to let them. Our QB doesn't need to be Lamar Jackson, but would be nice to give the defense something else to think about. Yeah, we agree. I won't. I mean, I've repeated myself several times. I agree with you, Chef Garcia. You got anything else on that, Nevada?
No, got to run. And again, and I just have to make this point. Can you imagine if we hard counted just once?
Yes.
The entire defense, the entire line would be in the backfield. Just hard count one. Aaron Rodgers hard counts every time. He hard counts every time, every play. Now, I'm not talking about every possession. I'm talking about every play he hard counts. We don't we hard count. We set a hard count one time this entire year. I'm telling you, one time this entire year we hard counted. We gotta
And
we
was that
gotta
on
be better.
4th and short when we did that? I don't
It was
remember.
it was a it was a third and short. We had
3rd
called
and
a
short.
timeout, and they were
Okay.
jumping the snap, and we came out. We did the tap, and we didn't go. And I don't remember the games. Maybe somebody in the chat can remember the game, but we had called a timeout, did the fake same. The guys jumped right offside, and we got the first down. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. Let's do this more. One time the entire year. One time.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, Nevada. I really do. All right, Will the Thrill, what's up, man? Thanks for the 1999. Right side of the O-line has been bad regardless of who's playing right guard. Austin has been playing out of position all year because Ethan was a bust. Improve the right side through the portal. Slide Austin back to guard and more to left tackle. Yeah, we'll see what they're going to do, man. I know they're listen, Ryan Day, one thing I believe him on, he's going to take a hard, when he says he's going to take a hard look at everything, he will. He will. And I'm hoping they make the best decision. I know people are not high on Tyler Bowen right now. I mean, after that game, after these last 2 games, it's kind of hard to be. But, I mean, we'll see. First year, fixes need to be made, period. I don't know if it's heavy portal or not, but we need more consistency on the O-line, in my opinion, Nevada.
Yeah, but we've got the dudes, and we don't even know. We don't know if Tegra's going to, portal out. You've got Tegra, you've got Luke Montgomery, you've got Josh Padilla, you've got Sireveld, you've got Ian Moore, you've got Philip Daniels, you've got Carson Hinsman. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got a lot of guys that can play football. I don't think we need new guys. I think we just need to scheme it up properly, provide some constraint, and I think our offensive line will look magically better. But I agree, Ethan was a bust. Ethan was a big our 2 big transfer portal expenditures last year were Ethan and Bo Atkinson, and neither one of them, did. So that's on Pantoni. Pantoni's got to be better. We give him credit when he brings in, Caleb Downs, which was the no-brainer, Julian Sane, Will Howard, Quinn Shot. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. But last year we didn't do as well. Need to be better this year in 2026, because 2026 absolutely is a national championship or bust season for Ohio State.
Yep, agreed. All right, let me see. Joe Harn, thanks for the 5. Was O-line coached overwhelmed? Do you think O-line recruiting from the past caught up with us? Do we need to move our right tackle to guard? I don't know if Tyler Bowen was overwhelmed. And, Nevada's already given you his take. He feels like we have the dudes. I'm kind of in between on that. I do think we have some dudes. I just don't know if we need to go get maybe 1 or 2 more to make sure we have the dudes. But we'll see. And then I wanted to ask you a question before you respond to this. Does Ethan have another year of eligibility? Or was that his last year this year?
Ethan's done. Yeah, he's
done. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Did you have anything on this?
Oh, no, I feel strongly that we have the dudes. I feel strongly that we have plenty of guys in the offensive line room. Our recruiting's been great. This isn't about talent. You're telling me, you're looking at Indiana right now and go, oh, those guys, they have a better scheme. They have a run. Fernando Mendoza is a very clever 6-year running quarterback who puts those guys in good spots. We need to put our offensive line. If we put our offensive line in good spots, they're going to look magically better. When you put them in bad spots, they're going to look magically worse. It's not that hard. There's some simple fixes we could do to make the offensive line look way better. Run the quarterback, vary the snap count. You just do those 2 things right there, and a lot of things would click on the offense for Ohio State. We've got the pieces in place. And we've seen it before. We've seen this offense. These same guys won the national championship last year. Same group, literally the same guys. So we can do it. I think losing Chip Kelly last year and having the whole kerfluffle this year with the offensive coordinator Brian Hartline for 12 games, and then Ryan comes in for the playoffs, but he's got to do it from the sideline. I think it was something. I think it hurt us this year. But don't make the same mistake next year. Get an adult that can run the offense, and I think it'll solve a lot of the mistakes.
Fair points. All right, Joshua Dillon, thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. Nevada, I think it's time to retire the phrase. This does not need to be close. We lost every time you said that. Also, I
Not,
think we.
that's a lie.
I'm about to say.
That's
I was going to
yeah,
ask you if that is that true.
yeah,
To fact check that.
that's just a lie. I said it in the Tennessee game last year. I said it in the Oregon game, famously before the second Oregon game last year. I said
Yeah.
it before the Texas game last year, and I said it in the national championship game against Notre Dame. So, like, let's at least be this stuff about Nevada. I was taking crap on the board about Nevada. You said we'd win, and we didn't win. Well, we were 9.5 point favorites from Vegas. If I could pick games with 100% accuracy, I said I would be Scrooge McDuck diving into my pool of gold coins right now, and I wouldn't be
Yeah.
doing a podcast with B. Moses in the middle of the night after coming back from going to the game last night in terms of hanging out in terms of doing it. So no, don't take what I say as the perfect thing in terms of doing it, but let's at least be accurate. This does not need to be close. I've been pretty spot on in terms of doing that. So yeah, I'm pushing back on that one, man. I'm throwing the flag of
The challenge flag.
the challenge flag on that one for sure.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And Josh, listen, we're frustrated after a loss, and then we just lost 2 in a row. And so, the prisoner of the moment, not considering the full picture. You're right. He has said that on plenty of wins. So I will definitely confirm that. Now, he said, I also think we're all wrong about Indiana. Still, though, I think 2026 we win the title. I guess my question is, what are we wrong about with Indiana? That's just a serious question because we've said all season they're really good. We felt we should have beat them still. Now we were more talented and we're the better team, but we didn't play like it. But I've given them props and respect all year. So I guess maybe clarify that, Josh. But you got anything else on this, Nevada?
No, I think he's saying that we were all wrong about Indiana, about picking Ohio State to beat Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. That's how I'm reading that statement.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I wish Jaden had made the 28-yard field goal. Yeah, Jaden missing a 28-yard field goal was not on my bingo card before the Big Ten championship. Had I known that we could not execute the 28-yard field goal, probably wouldn't have been as bullish on our chances as that. But yeah, I but you will hear this does not need to be close because I love that saying. In fact, I may put it on a shirt and attribute it to Nevada Buck and put it on there. This does not need to be close because it did not need to be close.
and to be fair, the statement has not changed just because we lost. I still
No.
feel like we should have beaten. We're better than Miami, and this is what Sonny Styles said after the game. He wasn't disrespectful. He just said we should beat this Miami team. He's like we're good enough to win a national title this year. He said, now we didn't, we lost, but I don't know, whatever. I'm not gonna just go back and forth about that, but amen. All right, let's move on. Mr. X the Agnostic, thanks for the 10. OSU over rotates the running backs. CJ was needed more for protection. We went backwards. Whenever we put out the hot running back, whether it's Bo or CJ, why was Peoples and West playing? Shaking my head. Okay, that's a lot. I don't know. I mean, maybe I haven't really thought about the rotation if I haven't liked it or not. I mean, I'll say this, and I'll pass the mic, Nevada. I was more confident on Bo being in there on third down based off of the pass pro that I saw him improve in towards the end of the season, especially at Michigan. I thought he did a great job. Now he got bull rushed and basically smashed last night when that happened, but it happens. But I don't know. I didn't really think about the rotation that much, and I didn't see Peoples out there in the backfield. I didn't even see West. Are you saying why was Peoples and West playing? I didn't see either of them in the backfield. Did you, Nevada?
I don't think they. Now again, I was at the game, but I don't remember Peoples or West. I mean, Peoples obviously returning kicks, but I don't think Peoples or West took a snap in the backfield. Now,
Yeah.
Peoples did take a snap in the Big Ten championship game. They brought him in one play to pass protect. He got blown up just like Bo did last night and had a sack. I thought last night, and I thought this is on Coach Locke, who we all love, but he subbed out CJ, brought in Bo, and then Bo got blown up and sacked and ended that drive. And I just think that was a weird change for me because, like, if you're passing, CJ's clearly your best pass protector. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's clearly your best pass protector. And so when they brought Bowen, I'm thinking maybe to run, maybe to screen, maybe that they want something else with him, and that happened. But no, I don't think Peoples or West played yesterday. But I could be, I'm happy to be corrected in terms of that. But I don't think that happened.
I don't think so either. I mean, I did my rewatch and I didn't see him. So I don't know, but neither here nor there. Carus Washington, thanks for the 499. Thanks for being a Scoop Watcher member. I think it's more dangerous for saying to stay in the pocket and get sacked than letting him run. Fair point. Fair point. At least when you're running, you kind of have more control over where you're going, and as opposed to just being sitting back there hoping nobody blindsides you. I think that's fair. What you got, Nevada?
Yeah, I think the concerns about if you're not running the quarterback, like a hammer, I think the concerns about him getting hurt are a little bit overdone. And I agree with Cars. You can get hurt anywhere on the football field. And if you're in the pocket, those guys flying around, you can go down just as quickly as you get. I think getting a guy out of the mayhem is a good idea, and it certainly makes the offense. Think about how many times JT Barrett used to break, contain, and run, or Troy Smith. Troy Smith killed Michigan, and as much as he killed him with his arm, he killed him with runs every single year. Every single year, some of the biggest plays were him running the football, and that goes for '04, that goes for '05, that goes for '06. He did it with his legs. We got to get back to that because those things are so demoralizing and absolute killers.
Yep. All right. AF Pride, thanks for being a Scoop Archer member. Thanks for the 999. Season was over when we lost Heartline with all the off-the-field drama, and it just shifted our focus, and I feel like we just never really recovered from it. Special teams is a must next season. OH Nevada? Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few people who have that opinion. I don't know how much stock I would put on it. I don't know if I would go as far as say the season was over, but I do think it's a something, like Nevada says, like it was a something. Like that's tough. You know what I'm saying? And I was hoping this team and this coaching staff could get through it. So I felt like if anybody could get through it, maybe they could, especially coming off the run they made last year and experience. And I don't know, but it just didn't work out. It just wasn't good. There was a lot of factors. You got that, the layoff. I mean, it just wasn't good, Nevada.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And anytime you have change, changing a routine, and whether that be through a long layoff or a coaching change or a thing. And look, I was happy that Brian was going to be calling the play, or that Ryan was going to be calling the plays. Was a little concerned about him doing it for the sideline because it's different calling plays for the sideline than it is from up in the box. So with Brian, look, I thank him for all his great contributions, but it certainly was a little bit of interruption. And unfortunately, the way that the calendar sets up for football, it's just kind of inherent, to the way that things are. So it's kind of baked in the cake. And but I wish him well at USF and hope he does great things down there.
Yep, exactly. All right. Buckeyes 1027. Thanks for the 499. There's also no reason to have a 25-day gap between games. Talking about the layover. Should have been throwing all those screen passes to a faster running back other than CJ. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of read our minds, so to speak, as we just touched on it. But yeah, they need to keep evaluating this playoff situation. Should there be more home games in the second round? Or, the layoff, all of that, man, all of that. So I don't disagree with you. You got anything on that, Nevada?
Yeah, the 25-day gap is just crazy. It just interrupts your flow. It just, these players are creatures of habit and creatures of rhythm, and I think it's really hard for them when they go out there and they lay off for 3.5 weeks and play, and it's tough. As for this, look, I'm the biggest screen pass guy in the world. Would love to see a guy like Turbo Rogers or Legend Bay or one of those other guys get some of those screen passes in terms of doing it. But love the play. I think you can screen to the tight end. You can screen to the running backs. I think that's another way of constraining the pass rush. All these things are about how do you constrain the pass rush? Do you do it with a hard count? Do you do it with a running quarterback? Do you do it with screen passes? Do you do it with draws? Do you do it with counter? There's things you can do to constrain guys from just teeing off and coming at you. And we did very few of them this year. And I think we need to do more of them in 2026.
Yep. More constraint plays, please. All right. Chef Garcia, thanks for the 499. Any truth to us looking at Ryan Williams and Cam Coleman from Auburn? Nevada. Let me ask you this. I can't remember. Did you say you would take Ryan Williams or not? Because there's some people like, man, we don't want him. I can't remember your take. Would you take Ryan Williams if he wanted to come here?
I would, but it doesn't sound like he's down. Now, maybe he reconsidered after getting their booty kicked today. You know what I'm saying? That,
Yeah.
but I don't know he's going into the portal. Would I take him? Yes. Would I take any of the Marsh boys? You know what I'm saying? I would take Cam Coleman. I would take Ryan Williams. I would take Nick Marsh. I would take Andrew Marsh. I would take any of those guys if they were in the portal. But I think you need an established number 2 wide receiver to pair with JJ. And that doesn't mean, that's no offense to Quincy Porter or to Chris Henry Jr. or to Mylan Graham or to any of those, or to Brandon Innes. Any of those guys can kind of step up and contribute. You need to have 2, 3, 4, 5 productive wide receivers to have the best type of offense possible. But I think 2026, you can't play games with it. You can't hope for development in 2026. You need to have proven protection. So would I take him? Yes. The word is he's not entering the portal. But again, we'll see if that changed after getting blown out today against Indiana.
Good point. Joshua Dillon, thanks again for the 2. Any news on the OC? I think we're going to hear something soon. But Nevada, have you heard anything from your I know it's literally, it hasn't even been, well, I guess it has been technically been 24 hours, but it's, a lot's about to start happening soon. But have you heard anything on the OC? Any updates?
Well, you've got Black Monday for the NFL coming up here, where all these guys are going to be,
Yeah.
ready to be. And so, what I keep hearing is they believe Ryan Day's already made up his mind, because that's why Chip Kelly ended up at Northwestern, because it didn't make sense that he wouldn't go back to Chip unless he'd already promised the job to somebody else. But I don't know who that is. But I think it's coming from the NFL, and I think it's coming down quickly. And I think we all should, all be, checking to hear what it is. But I think that's why Chip Kelly didn't come back to Ohio State, because I think Ryan had already promised the job to somebody else. And we'll see if that's true or not. But I that's what I'm hearing, and I believe that's what the case.
Yeah, I think it'll all work out. I got some people and buddies that are freaking out about the OC and position. I'm just like, man, relax, man. Like, it's going to happen. And good point about Black Monday. I almost forget about Black Monday every year. And then you wake up Monday morning and you see all the updates and your phone's going off, with all the alerts. But Will the Thrill, thanks for the $4.99. Whoever the OC is, I want to go faster and spread defenses out. Saying it's the least of our worries, but needs to be protected better against good fronts. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know if the OC we get is going to want to come in and do more tempo or anything like that. But having an OC in here who's an adult in the room, like Nevada said, who can look at our personnel within, the offense we run and maximize it is what I want. Nevada, what you got?
Yeah, no, and look, I want the same things. And look, I was encouraged by the fact that as we talked about, we abandoned the 13 and 14 personnel looks, and
Yes.
I don't understand still to this day how we ended up at that place, how we ended up running those for so long during the season when it was so obviously not working. So I don't ever want to see that again. But that seemed to be a positive step, that Ryan was willing to go 13 games, see that, and then make a course correction. And it shows me that he is willing to make course corrections when presented with different type of evidence. So hopefully he sees that about going fast and spreading them out as well, and that continues.
Yeah, and just real quick on that note, I was pleased. Like, as far as just obviously we lost, but I was thinking I was still going to see at least a little bit of 13, 14 sprinkled in. I don't recall seeing any 14.
It didn't happen. It did not.
We went back to, what we did last year in the playoff run, which is, one back, 11 personnel, mostly every now and then 12. So, all right. What we got next? Richard Black, I just see, thanks for the 199, no comment. Maybe you'll follow up with a comment. Clueless, thanks for the 2. Thanks for being a scoop watch. Remember, can we please get a top 10 kicker? Amen, Clueless. We need to go out. Listen, man, get them kick. Like, what do we got to do to get a kicker? Nevada. I mean, I know we went after some last year, like, and we just seeing these other schools, even like the team up north over years, is having good kickers. There's no reason why we can't go find a good kicker. I don't get it. It has to happen, Nevada.
Yeah, it's tough. You even saw the kicker for Michigan, who was so great the year before, and then this year he struggled. So it's like sometimes these guys get in their own head, and they got it. But I agree with you. You know, in the transfer portal, there's no reason to not. Now, they've got a guy. They've got a guy. You know, that was really good at a MAC school. But the problem was every time they did the kicking competitions this year, he got beat out by fielding. So, like, now people can say, oh, he's a gamer. Well, but if you can't beat him in practice, I don't know if you can go with him in the game. You know what I'm saying? Now, could he have done worse than Fielding did this year? Well, at big times, Fielding was bad. So, yeah, I agree. It's a priority for Ohio State. I know they're looking at the Illinois kicker. The Illinois kicker was a really clutch. You know, first team. I don't know if he's first team All American or first team All Big Ten, but he was really, really good this year. He's in the portal. He could be a guy that they're looking at, but I know they're open for business for a kicker. So Ohio State's aware of the problem.
Oh yeah. So get it done. All right, Sean Krucker, thanks for the 5. I've already seen reports OSU is getting involved with Pitt linebacker at his current price. If they keep pinching pennies, not much will change. Yeah, I'm not. I don't know where you're seeing the reports are. I mean, the reports from. But yeah, I'm gonna look into that myself to kind of catch myself up. I don't know where that's coming from because you see some of these stuff on social media. Is it credible? Is it just rumors? Who knows? But anything on that, Nevada?
No, I think they're very much in play with them. And look, no, Ohio State isn't pinching penny. You know, it's just look, you have a finite amount of money to pay, and if you know, it was kind of like see Chris Henry Jr. If we're willing to pay Chris Henry Jr. $800,000, but Oregon's willing to pay him $2 million, that doesn't mean we're pinching pennies. That's just the reality of where we're at in terms of not, you know, we've got plenty of money for NIL. Now that doesn't mean we're going to be the top dollar, and that doesn't mean we have unlimited money. But I think it's unfair to say that we're pinching pennies. Ohio State's got plenty of NIL money, has been very smart about how they deployed it, and it generally helped them find the right type of kids, and they're very much in play with the Pitt linebacker. So just FYI, keep an eye on that one.
Gotcha. All right. Jim Foster, thanks for the 999. Nobody I'd rather work out of this funk with more than you guys. It's been a tough year for several reasons. I appreciate you fellas getting us through it. On to 26. Feelings mutual, you know, because we're processing this, and you know, we're the guys on the screen and you know talking the voices through the mic. But we're fans too. We're working and processing through this real time. Now, me as a host and you know someone who wants to, I guess, help guide you guys through this. I'm gonna do my homework. I'm gonna rewatch the game. I'm gonna take notes. I'm gonna try to prepare myself to do that because it's a lot, man, and it's frustrating. Ending the season with 2 losses with all the standard and the stakes we have for this team is tough. But yeah, I agree. Being able to do this with y'all, considering the situation, yeah, I feel the same way, Jim. What you got, Nevada?
Well, Jim, we appreciate you being here with us, and we appreciate everybody being here with. And look, we'll tell you the truth. We'll give you our unvarnished opinions about what's good, what's bad. We have a lot of contacts. I'm getting a lot of stuff, from parents, from players, from staff, and you just got to kind of do it because there's a lot of frustration because when you lose, people are frustrated, so they say stuff. And you're not sure, is this just frustration talking or is this, a sign of a bigger problem? So I think we're pretty good at vetting that stuff out and giving it to you, but we'll keep giving it to you straight. Is anything structurally broken with Ohio State? No, we lost a football game, and it's sad, and I hate it. And am I excited about 2026? I am, but that's just me because I thought coming into the season 2025 was going to be a step back. I did. I've said that before the season. I thought that we're replacing both coordinators. We're replacing our quarterback. we're replacing 14 guys in the NFL draft. I just couldn't imagine a scenario where this team was better than the 2024 team. And as it turned out, we took a step back. It just took a little longer for that to kind of manifest. I also have always thought that 2026 was going to be an epic year for Ohio State, and I still
Yeah.
feel that way. So I'm excited about 2026, but we got work to do in the portal, and that's what I'm excited about following here the next few weeks is what does Ohio State get done in the portal, because there's work to be done, and I know they're open for business.
And real quick, my expectation and goal before the season, based off of the limited information we had on this roster and this team, was to beat Michigan and get to the playoffs. I felt we were a playoff team. We would beat Michigan, get over the hump, and make the playoffs. But this team reset a lot of our expectations by what they were doing, especially defensively, throughout the season. And so, yeah, I mean, we lost. So now we'll respond. We always do. I know Nevada, there's people out there who still want to fire Ryan Day, still fans out there, goofies, and just acting like the sky is falling. But that's par for the course with some of our fan base, and honestly, not just our fan base, but just fans in general. It is what it is. But cooler heads will prevail and understand that this program has been the most consistent for as long as they have, for a reason. They will adjust. They're going to do what they need to do to get right back in the seat, and we'll be right back there. So there's that. Clueless, thanks for the 5. Not blaming the officials, but it seems unfair to have an ACC officiating crew calling the game. Now, I thought it was an SEC crew. Was it an ACC crew, Nevada?
No, they wouldn't have an ACC crew calling a game with an ACC team. It would have to be from another. I don't know where they were from. They like I am general. I am in favor of crews that don't call a lot of penalties, and they only call 2 penalties. Now both happen to be on Ohio State. That was
Right.
that was unfortunate. One was an egregious, terrible, awful call.
Yeah.
That was unfortunate as well. One, they missed an egregious, awful spiking of Brandon Innes. But again, at least they weren't the reason we lost the game. We're not sitting there complaining about the officials.
Right.
They're the reason that we're not going on in 2025 or, but no, I don't. The answer to the question, no, I don't. I do not believe that was an ACC crew.
Got you. All right. Mark from Dub C. Thanks for being a Scoop Watch. Remember, the backside George reverse is from Remember the Titans. Okay.
Okay.
That's right, because I believe Sunshine handed it to Rev, right? And Rev got around the corner for the touchdown. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Ernie Gonzalez. Completely missed that. Big fan of that movie. But the name of the play, Nevada, didn't stick to me like the what is it, annexation of Puerto Rico did with the Little Giants. I'll never forget that play.
It's so funny. I was just gonna do the annexation of Puerto Rico. I was just gonna play that card. That's so fun. It's like you and I are the same person, B. We're right there.
I love that movie. So yeah, I'm sorry that it just doesn't hit as well as Little Giants. Al Bundy, I know that's not his Ed O'Neill. Al Bundy, I call him Al Bundy, and Rick Moranis, just magical. But anyway, whole nother pod. All right, thank you for that clear up, Mark. All right, Mr. Apollo, thanks for the 20. New OC must run more jet sweeps, screens, window dressing. QB will be better. Must be willing to leg out 6'7". Laugh out loud. 6'7". Yards defense need to account for 10 guys versus OSU. QBR force imbalance in the numbers game. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Mr. Apollo. You got anything on that, Nevada?
I think we need to name Mr. Apollo like the new OC. I'm telling you what. I'm like you're spot on, man. You're spot. If you throw in there vary the snap count, then Nevada is on for a 5-year contract for Mr. Apollo as the OC.
Let's do it. And we got another. Well, actually, no, we got Would a Thrill first. We got another from Mr. Apollo. It's pretty funny. But Would a Thrill, thanks for the $4.99. How do our NIL funds compare to the other heavy hitters since the rule changes went down? Nevada, what you got on that?
We're right there. We're not lacking for NIL money. Now, Oregon's kind of got the, when people talk about the NIL fire hose, Oregon's kind of got the fire hose. Texas has been good. Texas Tech has been big. Texas A&M has been pretty big, but we're right there. I mean, we're not. It's not NIL monies is not the reason why we're not getting some of these guys. You just even if you have the money, do you want to reset the market with a player that you want if it ruins the culture in your room? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you want to go out and spend $12 million on Bryce Underwood when everybody on your like that was a culture killer for Michigan? That was
Yeah.
a culture killer for them. And like stuff like that is what will kill a room. So sometimes, having, constraints and stuff, you've got to, put your internal boundaries in, but it's not, this is about internal discipline and budget discipline. This isn't about lack of NIL funds.
Yeah. Fair points. Back to Mr. Apollo. Thanks for the 10. New OC needs to be like Bane. You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then, it was nothing to me but blinding, terrible impression. But I'm doing it anyway.
Oh
All right,
man.
what
Wow.
you got on that, Nevada?
Man, you're like Tom. It's like Tom Hardy was like right there for a minute. I was in the room with him. That was beautiful. That was
Ah,
beautiful. That was
all
like a
right,
table
decent.
read. That was a
He
table
said a
read.
table read.
That was awesome.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it. But listen, we want our OC to be a dog, and we'll flip right to the next comment because it goes hand in hand. Thanks, John M, for the $4.99. I know it's early, but who would you like to see as OC and wide receiver coach? Is rest of the staff staying intact? I've liked the Brian Dayball idea from jump, and then of course news broke that we hired Cortez Hankton, the former wide receiver coach, excuse me, from LSU. And of course, you got a lot of people saying it's a terrible hire, and blah blah blah. Nevada, what you got?
I think Hankton is a great hire. I mean, you're talking about a guy that coached a lot of guys that were super productive in the NFL. Great, um, great contacts throughout the South. Heavy Southern influence there. I think he's going to be terrific. It was the guy that I wanted to be. I think he's the perfect guy that Ohio State needed to fill that coaching position. And I know the players are excited about it. I know Ryan Day's excited about it. I think he's going to be great. As for the OC, you just need an adult. To get an adult, I think that Ryan has really, he liked the fact that he was able to go get a former NFL head coach, also former GM, former offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator in Patricia. I think he'd like to get another former, NFL head coach to be his offensive coordinator, and I think Dable is the perfect fit for that. And
Yeah.
I think that's the guy I'd turn to for sure.
But Nevada, Twitter says he sucks. The new wide receiver coach sucks. What are we gonna do?
Remember when Matt Patricia sucked?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Goodness,
So
man.
come on, Twitter.
Right. Come on, Twitter. They're just whatever. All right, yo, go ahead. Have at it. Go play. He sucks. All right. What we got next? We got E Buckeye. Thanks for the 199. I think RPO spread would help red zone efficiency. Yeah, maybe. I mean, better than 14 personnel for sure. But adding the running quarterback, or at least the threat of it, will ultimately be the cherry on top of that as well, Nevada.
Yeah, just the R. You got to activate the R in the RPO. We run the RPOs right now, but we don't have the quarterback's not a viable running option. And until he can be credible as a running option and that they have to respect it, it'll never be fully effective. So I completely agree. We've seen it when we've been running, full RPO game, especially in red zone and short yardage. It's crazy effective. I couldn't agree more. I think we need to do it.
Yep. All right. Pinky in the house. Thanks for the 199. Your thoughts about the new receivers coach? Again, you're running stride for stride with us. We just hit on that. I'm gonna do a little more digging, as far as I go, but just from the things that we know, the stuff that Nevada already mentioned, the receivers that he developed, Malik Neighbors, and I got a list of the guys, and the fact that Ryan Day is replacing him. He picked him to replace Brian Hartline. Like, y'all can dog Ryan Day all you want. He's not perfect. He has his flaws. but he has a pretty good track record with making hires. And so for a position as critical as this to continue what we've been doing, you think he just going to hire just anybody without vetting him? That's how I feel about it, Nevada.
He was the number one guy I wanted. I mean, he was the guy I wanted. So you're asking me my opinion on it. I'm over the moon. I think he was exactly, it's like the right horse for the course. He's the right horse for the course. He's perfect for what we need, and I'm super excited to have him on the staff.
Gotcha. Christopher Davis, thanks for the $4.99. Do you think we finally get an elite kicker this portal cycle? I'm praying. Shoot, I might even do tryouts. I might post something on my social media. Meet me at Columbus Commons or something. I don't know. Like, it has to. We have to get. And here's the thing. I'm not even saying they have to be Nugent 2.0. Just be good. Be more consistent. Like, interview this guy to make sure where his mindset is. How many books does he read? Does he meditate? Something. You know what I'm saying? We got to have a guy that's not missing kicks before he even hits the field, Nevada.
Well, but again, the good news is you don't have to worry about what his books or what his interview. Just look at his numbers. Has he been? Has he been a successful kicker at the college level? Can he get? If he can do that, that's the guy that I want. You know, the good news about the portals, you don't need to guess. You can get finished products. You don't have to guess about how they project from high school to college. Go get a kicker that's got 4 or 5 years experience already under his belt. That's kicked in pressure situations. That's the guy that I want kicking for us in 2026.
Amen. Well said. Paul Moss, thanks for the 50. Thank you. Julian, as our QB, he looks good throwing the ball. If we don't have grown ASS man leading this powerful offense, it sputters. I'm stunned by the fact that we left Ian Moore on the bench and didn't move Austin back inside of his best position. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ian Moore did look good. He played well. He definitely played well. And like I said, in the second half, the line settled down. We ran the ball more, and they actually blocked really well on run blocking. But what you got on that, Nevada?
Well, like some of the personnel decisions on the offensive line the last couple of years have just been head scratchers. We've talked about Carson Hinsman and how he was moved to, after a year starting, he was moved to 10th man on the line, and then came, it was nothing short of injuries that forced him back in. And this year it was a first team All-American. You've got Ian Moore, who clearly can play, and he played well in his limited action before, but somehow that wasn't good enough to get him on the field. Josh Padilla came in and balled out. As well. So here's the good news. The good news is all those guys are back next year, and we've got a lot of guys to pick from. That's why when we're talking about the offensive line, I'm excited about the offensive line for next year. I don't think it's a portal need for Ohio State. I think it's just a matter of getting the right guys, put it in the right spots. But I agree, next year, I think our best line goes Ian Moore, Montgomery, Hinsman, Sireveld, Daniels. And then everybody else just kind of behind it. But I think that line right there, that's a national championship caliber line.
Yeah, we gonna see. Clueless, thanks for the 5. I'm not an expert, but I'm tired of seeing our cornerbacks lined up too deep, giving up a lot of quick 5-yard receptions. Yeah, Nevada, that really bothered me last night. We played gave a lot of cushion. If it wasn't Beck's feet, it was getting beat on third down because our DBs were giving too much cushion. And he would just throw it to the sideline on a rope, and the receiver would on comeback routes and just easily pick up the first down because our DBs were playing back so much. I'm sure we were doing that for a reason, but I would have thought we would have came up out of that a little faster. I don't think we came up out of it at all, honestly. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, when you're at the game and you can kind of see that stuff, it looked like we were just trying to force Miami to go down the field, systematically, and not have any negative plays. And you look at in the first half, I mean, the defense, they scored 14, but 7 of that was when the defense was on the sideline. So they scored 7 points there. They kicked the field goal later. And then at the end, obviously, we let them score that touchdown late so we get the ball back. But, we gave up that drive, and that was frustrating. So I don't know. To me, that feels a little like second guessing. on the defense, but I understand. I absolutely understand the frustration because when you're sitting there at the game, you're like, why don't we just man up across across the front, put pressure on Beck? Because that was the other thing is we just weren't putting pressure on Beck. Beck had a lot of
Right.
time
Yep.
sitting back there. I mean, I try to imagine it like flipping sides. If Julian Sane had that much time sitting there in the rocking chair like that, what would he would have just completely pieced up the defense. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But
Yep.
we couldn't get to the quarterback. Beck had a lot of time and he was putting the balls on time and we weren't so that certainly was a frustrating aspect of our defense. But overall, I thought the defense played a winning game, but that certainly was frustrating.
Yeah, makes sense. Being at the game is different for sure. All right. Let me see, make sure I ain't missed nothing here. Christopher J. Rich Pisces, thanks for being a scoop watcher. Remember, thanks for the $4.99. Kalen's Crimson Corner coming soon on those podcasts. Holy shit meltdown! I thought we lost last night. I'm assuming Kalen's Crimson Corner is like an Alabama podcast, and maybe you're saying that they about to have a meltdown because they lost to Indiana badly. I'm assuming that's what he's saying, Nevada. What you think?
Yeah, it sounds to me like I mean, and if I'm wrong, you correct me. And I'm saying it's like, hey, we think we had it bad. Well, they got it a lot worse. They got a lot worse today.
Yeah.
Look, we were in that game. We're better than Miami. We should have won the game. The whole game, I'm watching the game expecting us to win. I'm turning to everybody going, we're going to win this game. We're going to get the ball. We're going to drive down. I really felt that way. Obviously, for Alabama, that game was they could have left it at halftime, and that game was over, and that game was never close. So maybe
Yeah.
that's what it's referring to. But things could always be worse. You could be Michigan.
This is true. You could be them. You could be
Yes.
them. Great point. Mr. Apollo, thanks for the 2. OC hire is not on the current staff. Go get a dude. Amen. Flat out. Any notion is crazy. Any other notion than that is crazy, Nevada.
I think it would be a huge mistake. I don't think Ryan Day will make that mistake, but it would be a huge mistake to go internal on that hire for sure. Got to get an adult, please.
Yep. All right. Jesse Ferguson, thanks for the 199. I think he's saying I hope. It says I
I,
hope.
I think he's saying who replaces.
Oh, okay. Who who replaces all the
I ho. It's off the word.
Once again, I was thinking about that song too. I promise you, I'm not lying. I was thinking about I ho. Saying goofy stuff is going on in our heads. All right.
Oh no.
Who replaces all the NFL guys leaving? Downs, for example. I don't know. I think honestly,
Malik Hartford.
yeah, and maybe Portal. Maybe you said, we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. But I just don't know because filling Downs' shoes is obviously big shoes to fill, and we're gonna see. Maybe there's somebody in the portal that feel like can come in. I still like why do I always want to call him Jermaine? Jalen McClain. I think he can be. He's good. He was good this year, but I think he can be better. And so we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. All right, biracial Batman. I always laugh at that. Thanks for the $4.99. Scoop family, I love y'all. The real tragedy here is that OSU had the audacity to smack me with a season ticket monthly charge this morning. Talk about insult to injury, Nevada.
Yeah. The timing of that stuff's been really, really poor. But yeah, it's hey, man, out of 2026, we all you got to pay the piper at some point. But yeah, today was it was a little hard for all of us getting those invoices out this morning.
Yep, I can just see their little invoice guy just and send. Let's see how fast he pays this.
Oh my god!
Oh man, I'm sorry about that. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you. Right?
Oh yeah, I got one of those as well. So.
Oh man, Joe Harn, thanks for the 2. Short distance and goal line needs work. Yeah, they need to continue to work at that for sure. I mean, honestly, I don't know how high that would be on the list for me from last night, but yes, I think that's an overall thing they need to continue working on, Nevada.
Yeah, I like I said, I just want to. I was encouraged that they didn't run the 13 and 14. And
Yes.
that was such a big change because that was such a big feature of what Ryan was running all year. And something he came to the conclusion, as we had told you before the game, that it just wasn't working. Now we had come to the conclusion it wasn't working about 2.5 months ago, but he finally got there. And I believe me, I'm not being kidding. I really am encouraged that he had he could change. He wasn't so hung up on that he hung with that and he moved off of that. So kudos
Yep.
to Ryan.
Definitely. Sean Kretka, thanks for the 2 thoughts on Hankton. Fans seem to hate the hire. We just addressed it. Fans are going to hate whatever hire Twitter and whoever else tells them to hate. That's just what it is. I've just noticed it's just like, I don't know why I hate this hire, but I hate it. Like, whatever. Go ahead, hate the hire, man. And like Nevada said earlier, we both on this podcast and on my social media, I got destroyed by people saying, you don't know ball because I liked the freaking Matt Patricia hire. So just take it with a grain of salt. Nevada?
Yeah, the Matt Patricia hire was met with almost universal disdain because people told him to hate the hire, and that's how I feel about it. I'm excited. He was the guy I wanted. He was my number one pick for the wide receiver coach. So that's how excited Nevada is about that. We got the guy I wanted.
Yep. All right, Ravia Tatub. Whenever I read that, I think about Ratatouille for some reason. Maybe because it just sounds similar. Thanks for the $4.99. Feel that this team was distracted with all the coaching changes. The O-line is also thin, but these are easy fixes for next year. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even with the coaching distraction, if we're going to be Saban's Bama, which we fell short of that this year, not necessarily because he didn't win titles every year back to back to back to back to back, but we're still trying to fly in that air. We're going to have to figure this out because other coaches are going to leave. There's going to be similar situations and distractions. We have to learn from this. Nevada, what you got?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This is definitely going to be a rite of passage for Ohio State every single year. It's just going to, our guys are going to get taken. Guys are going to be leaving in the portal. Guys are going to be coming to the portal. I mean, it's the new nature of college football, given the calendar and just with the mobility and offense. I'm more bullish on the offensive line though. I really, really, really like our offensive line room, and I really have faith in the guys to get them there. I really do. Now, maybe we revisit this next year, and I always reserve the right to change my mind, but I'm pretty bullish on the offensive line room.
Yep, I definitely hear you, man. Let me see. I want to make sure it's another for. Did I lose track of yours, Robbie? Is it 2? Oh, you got 3 back to back to back. Okay, I was confused. There you go. Thanks for the $4.99. Also, why did we not get Chip Kelly if he was on the market to be OC? Was there any underreported friction between Chip and Day last year? Yeah, Nevada can confirm. I'm pretty confident there was no friction. Just sounds like maybe just Chip wanted to go a different path, and maybe Ryan did too. What you got, Nevada?
Well, when I was told, yeah, no, that I mean that's one of Ryan's closest friends. It's just that Ryan had already decided on another guy, had already committed the job to another guy when Chip became available. Because remember, Chip becoming available is a fairly recent thing,
Right.
and so that to me that kind of explains the whole why isn't Chip coming back to Ohio State? And we'll see if that's true, but that I've been told that by multiple agents, so I believe that to be true.
Got you. Ravi at the tube again. Thanks for the 1999. Is Ryan Day really running his system? Like, did Saban have his system in Sark and Lane and others operated within the system? Or did they bring their own originality and that's why they were successful under Saban? Nevada, what you got on that?
Yeah, I mean, he let those guys do it. I mean, what Saban did, especially on the offensive side, was let those guys run their. That's why the Alabama offense looked so different. It looks so different under Mac Jones, and it looks so different under other guys running the offense. So, no, he did a really good job of. It was more hands on the defensive side, given his background. But on the offensive side, he let those guys have almost full autonomy in terms of running the offense. There were certain basic concepts and precepts he kept them to, but they got to put their imprint on the offense, and I think that's why they were so successful.
Yeah, I don't. Based off of what Saban has said publicly, I mean that lines up. I mean, obviously he has his philosophy as a head coach, but he brought those guys in because he liked what they brought to the table. So I think that's spot on. Robbie at the tube again. Thanks for the 4.99. I'm not sure why Keenan is considered a great coach. Did we get a great year from the tight end group? Also, the 5-star we recruited just left. Oh, talking about Thurman? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about Keenan? And do you think, because to me, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. The 13-14 personnel stuff just didn't work. But I thought Claire was good. I thought Kasmerick was pretty good. So I don't know. What's your take on that, Nevada?
I think he's a good coach. I don't think he's a great coach. I don't think he's an elite coach, but I think he's a good coach. Um, so that's kind of, on a scale of 1 to 10, he's a 5 to me, but that's just my opinion. So, and Jelani leaving, you know, I'm sad. I wish him well, but we hadn't really got much out of Jelani, and maybe that's a Keenan thing, maybe that's a Jelani thing, but whatever it was a something.
All right, Clueless. Thanks for the 5. Thanks for being a Scoop Ultra member. I like Dayball, but I heard he may be staying in the NFL. I keep hearing rumblings about JT Barrett coming back as the OC. Thoughts? I don't see him coming back as the OC. I would love to have JT Barrett back in the program, but not as the OC. Nevada?
Yeah, look, JT, you could not have a better person to be in the program than JT Barrett. He's just a prince of a guy. We'll see on the OC. I mean, maybe maybe Dayball's not the guy. I don't know, but I really believe that whoever it is, Ryan feels like he's got his guy, and there's a number of guys that would kind of fit the bill. That are in kind of senior positions on NFL teams right now, but those guys are all getting pink slips here shortly, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I would love to have JT back for sure. All right, here we go. Austin, thanks for the 199. Is the JJ to Miami smoke true? No.
Oh God.
It's not. What you got is you got goofy Miami media and podcasters showing clips. I don't know if you saw this, Nevada. They're showing the footage of Jeremiah Smith dapping up and hugging all the Miami people that he knows and grew up with. He's from there. And guess who? Oh, they say the Ohio State staffer is trying to get him away from Miami. That Ohio State staffer's name is CJ Barnett. That's what he does every game. That's his job, is to make sure players are cool, that, when they're with the media, he's with them out in public sometimes. I mean, like he's like I don't know what his official title is, but that's what he does. Like, okay, let's get back to the locker room, make sure we cool. Like, he's there every time. But Nevada, they're trying to make it seem like he was trying to, get away from Jeremiah Smith because he's going to leave. And, just people are dumb. So no, Austin. Nevada.
No, and also, I mean, JJ had more yards receiving than Miami had passing last night. So
he got off. He had a good game.
As we said he would. And Julian's coming back next year. Julian's going to be the best quarterback in the country next year. Yeah, JJ's not going anywhere.
Exactly. And Jeremiah Smith has praised Julian saying publicly, saying he's like that. And he is. He's a first-year starter. He's going to get better, y'all. And I'm saying this, Nevada, because there's people who are like down on, Tavion Smith take his job. The super chat we read earlier was not the only one who said that. And I get it. It's real time. It's still fresh. Julian saying towards the end of the year wasn't as sharp, but he's a really good player and he will get better. He's still young. Trust and believe. All right. I see Marcarelli. Thanks for the 199. I don't see a comment though. And then we got Clueless. Thanks for the 5. We only have 4 Big Ten home games next season or next year. That is tough, especially with the schedule we have next year. No easy conference game. Yeah, it's from what I remember from the schedule, definitely not easy. Got to travel to Texas. And so, we got Michigan at home. I think there's no Oregon next year. Yeah, I got to go back and look. But, yeah, I mean, we should be a lot more veteran on the offense, especially next year. We just need to make sure we get the defense, going, and I'm confident Patricia will. What you got, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, schedule next year is going to be challenging. It's going to be challenging. But as you said, we're returning 10 of 11 starters on offense. And, that Texas game's going to be, a great challenge early. I wish we weren't playing that game because there's just no benefit in playing those big out of conference games. I've said that a million times, but got a veteran team. And so we're in it to win it next year.
Yep. All right. Ravi at the tube. Thanks again for the 499. Then should Ryan just let his OC bring his own system and not ask them to run the Ryan Day or Ohio State system? So to me, I feel like, and I don't know, and I'm responding based off of the context of people are reevaluating everything. Like what should stay, what should go, what should we do, what needs to be fixed? We just won a national title last year with Ryan Day's system. Chip Kelly, an adult in the room, familiar with the system. It came from him, partially. I mean, it derived from him. And we won a national title. I think, to me, Ravi at the two, it's not a question of should we bring someone in here with their own system. It's a question of bring an adult in here who can do what Chip Kelly did and do what Matt Patricia did. Like, because Matt Patricia, he acclimated to, some things that were already here. You know what I'm saying? Knowing darn well Patricia is perfectly capable of bringing his own completely new system, but he didn't do that. So that's just my take, Nevada. I feel like there's a reference point, not even a year ago, that shows it's not the Ryan Day offensive system that's the problem. We just need to get an OC in here who's seasoned and adult and that can maximize it. What you think?
Well, yeah, and I mean that's what you find out in the hiring process. You find a guy that you don't go for a guy that's a pure air raid guy or a guy that's coming from a service academy. You find a guy that runs something similar and has an understanding of something similar, but they'll all have their little twists or things that they're going to put on the thing. But you find a guy that fits the type of offense that you want to run. And Ryan, at the end of the day, is responsible for that. He gets to pick that. So that's where I think it starts. You just find a guy who's got similar sensibilities and then let them have that individual creativity to make little tweaks as you kind of move along.
Yep. Sounds good to me. Joe Horn, thanks for the two. I think he's saying, I like the wide receiver coach. He has NFL experience in knowing the SEC. Yeah. All the things that Nevada mentioned, to me, make a ton of sense for going forward with recruiting, which is the biggest part is recruiting. And obviously has a good resume. And so, the funny thing is some of the people who hate the hire, the talent got worse after he left or like they got worse. Like they're basically saying he's not developing players, but the resume of the players that's in the NFL says otherwise. So, but whatever. What you got, Nevada?
Yeah, look, nobody's perfect. I mean, look at Brian Hartline. I mean, Brian Hartline's definitely had a mixed results in terms of his recruits that he's brought in. You know what I'm saying? Like brought in 5-star, but he's had entire classes flame out and never be productive at Ohio State. So no one's perfect is my point on this. As good as Brian was, as great as Brian was, not everybody's perfect, but Hankins his hits have been substantial. His experience and his SEC ties and his recruiting contacts down the South that are absolutely, robust. And he's going to do great at Ohio State.
Yep, fair point. Nobody is perfect, but again, I don't know about y'all. I trust Ryan Day with hiring. I mean, I just do. All right. Last super chat here. Sean Krutka, again, thanks for the two. Okay, so the schedule at IU, at Texas, at Iowa, at USC. I didn't think we had Oregon next year again, but I guess we do. So, yeah, tough schedule. Got to go out to Cali. USC, it's going to be tough. Definitely going to be tough, but fun for sure. All right. So, banger of a show. We knew it was going to be a lot to talk about and digest after that loss as we go into the 2026 year, facing the reality that the season is over. But we're here for you regardless. And so, again, like the poster said earlier, it's difficult. Listen, we're spoiled. We get a lot of highs. We know there's highs and lows in college football fandom. We get to feast on a lot of highs. This one is a low. This is the occasional low, and so who better to process that with than you, Buckeye Scoop family and Buckeye Nation. So Nevada, what you got, man? Before we bang out.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, the 2025 regular season's over, but the 2026 portal season starts tomorrow or in the next 48 hours, whenever it starts. I mean, I don't know exactly count, but it starts shortly. And that's a big story. And that's a big thing that we all got to be looking into, because 2026 is absolutely a national championship year for Ohio State. And who we get in the portal or who we don't get or who we lose is going to be a big part of the story about how well we do. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm moving on to that right now.
Yep, agreed. And really quick, really quick, um, I would be doing a disservice to myself if I did not let you know about a song I just released called "This Is Home" yesterday. It's basically an ode to Ohio. I love my state. I love my city. I shout out a lot of cities in Ohio. I talk about where I grew up. It's all on every platform: Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify, YouTube, everything, Amazon. So do me a favor, go and save it on your playlist. Also, we premiered it on the Buckeye Scoop channel yesterday. You can go to Buckeye Scoop after the pod or whenever you want to, and press play and hear the song there. Nevada, wanted to make sure I shared my artwork with you. It's an art what I do my music. So I appreciate y'all. All right. Anything, Nevada, on that before we say bye?
No, that's very excited about it. Very excited about the thing. Great stuff, and I'm glad we could be part of that.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Listen, we love you. We appreciate you. Hope you have a good rest of your holiday, and we will talk to y'all tomorrow. Go Bucks. Peace.